Reveille.
Look at us now, tip to
Jesus.
Shout out to Morning Kombat.
Do you want a margarita? Yes! My God!
Shout out to us doing what we love. It's time to bang. Oh, yeah, the familiar sounds of the French-Canadian cackle on this Monday morning, June 9th, 2025. Welcome into Morning Kombat, the best damn combat sports show they ever put together.
That's quite the sales pitch.
The one that won't go away, Luke. Okay?
That's right. Like a skin tag.
I'm Luke Thomas's co-host, Brian Campbell from the CT. Drop the E, and that's Washington, D.C.'s finest. And we probably got a hell of a show for you today, Luke. I mean, there's no shortage of big topics, I think you'd say.
UFC 316 is in the books, and it was pretty good. Pretty good, I think.
Yeah, except for those fans falling out when Merab came by. You know, that was...
You know what kind of that reminded me of is that's what happened when Jalen Hurts was at Northwest Stadium, which is formerly FedEx Field. And FedEx Field is such... Well, they're trying to fix it, but it's such a fucking dump that the fans fell over and nearly crushed them.
That's great.
And I was like, if what's happening at your event reminds me of FedEx Field, that's not a good thing.
And would you say that Keyshawn Davis's stock in the last 48 hours, or to 72 even, has taken a similar free fall?
Dude, we'll talk about that.
Worse than the Tesla stock? I mean, what's going on here? Yikes.
I honestly can't tell if some alien invaded his body and made it his number one goal to sabotage the host's life.
Sabotage.
Not a big Beastie Boys guy. I know that's a big mark of shame for me, but...
Okay, you say that, but I bet
Brass monkey, shut the fuck up.
No, I was going to say, I bet you if you just grab License to Ill and Paul's Boutique and give it like a week, you'll come back and be
I
like,
recognize these are classic albums. I cannot say otherwise. They just,
I mean, check your head when they start playing the instruments. Come on.
They got some bangers. But you know, what's the one like Intergalactic Planetary?
Okay, they tried
I'll stir fry you in my walk. Get the fuck out of my face. I don't want to hear that shit.
Yeah. We have a fantastic third member of our team, Bong Enthusiast, who was there in person, Newark, New Jersey for UFC 316. In the media room, hey, it's Long Island Luke of the Main Card Minute. LIL, you visited Newark Penn, did you not, in transition?
I did, and I got to say, Luke, kind of a nice place to hang out.
I mean, eat my ass. Just eat all of my ass.
I think
you're so full of shit.
He actually came in and was like, it was like when he comes in and I'm like, another Apex shithole. He's like, card wasn't that bad. He said the same thing about Newark Penn.
I said regular Penn Station, being like New York Penn Station, is just as bad. It's the same fucking...
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
It's
absolutely not. That is 1,000,000,000% not true. It's much worse.
I think Penn Station in New York is like second and a half world, where Newark Penn's third world.
Straight up third.
Yeah.
Straight up third.
Yeah, it's a wild place there.
Did you get the Dunkin' Donuts that tastes like the stale air inside?
Yes.
No, why would I buy a food product?
Yeah, why would you eat things if you're hungry? Why would you do that?
I'm just saying, walking through it wasn't so bad, you know.
All right. I would like you guys, by the way, to help us out here. Like this episode if you're watching here on YouTube. Subscribe. Shout out to everybody watching on the DraftKings Network. Those are our social handles. Tell a friend about the show. Can we get off 176,000 subscribers? I mean, I don't know what's going on here. We're kind of stuck, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like Chris Benoit had a lot of great matches until 07. And then like that database was just, like, are we the Chris Benoit MMA podcast? I hope not, but that's, you can check out our YouTube channels as well. We probably got bangers on there. Don't you have a big banger coming up on your sub?
Yeah, I'm talking to Kyle Kalinske tonight.
Ooh,
Very excited about that.
Yeah. Wow. Would you attempt to get Alex Jones on your Substack?
No. What the fuck am I going to talk to him about?
Sandy Hook?
I don't think he has a whole lot to add to that conversation at this point.
He still owes a lot. I'd actually like to talk Building 7 on your Substack one day. Okay, deep behind the paywall if you're willing.
Yeah,
right?
I don't want to talk about that at all.
Oh wow, okay. It would rock your worldview if you really heard the truth about we're also going to plug our merch because we have a new active working merch shop. In fact, it's called Morning Kombat Shop. Check it out right now. Long Island Luke, by the way, working those ones and twos aggressively back there. Shout out to Average Joe Art. We've got some of his designs on there. And Luke, you and I, I'm just happy we're back, man. I hope people are enjoying the new stuff. Don't we have a
We have
limited time announcement here?
just a few of the signed posters left.
Beavis and Butthead.
That's right. And here's what's going to happen. Once they're gone, we're not making more signed posters next month. This is, I'm not going to say it's it permanently, but this is it definitely for a while.
Yeah.
So if you want to get them, clock's ticking.
I mean, Father's Day's coming, guys. All right, get your dad outfitted in your dad's favorite podcast, right? Have we become like I loved Wilco, and then they became the poster boy for Dad Rock, and I felt a little sterile. Are we that? Because I'm cooler than I look, Luke. I'm cooler.
You don't look cool.
Oh, okay.
Neither do I. I don't care.
Yeah.
No, we definitely are.
Can we entertain a
the
bet?
two gay dads?
Okay, would you be willing not shave your beard? I don't want to take away your power, but dye your beard losing a bet. And I don't mean dye it purple. I mean dye it like full jet black Elvis.
I mean, it's just
special.
insane. The only color I have left is like a little bit of patching here and then just the mustache and like a little bit in the center. And that's really it. Everything else has gone gray.
Yeah.
I'd consider it.
It's more patchy than Mix's performance on Saturday, right? Yeah.
I saw someone call him Patchy, and then his nickname in the middle would be Cement Mix.
Oh my gosh, it's so tough.
He didn't look all that great.
Didn't. No, he didn't. But I hope you'll bet that beard one day. Just the color. All right. Do those colors run?
I mean, my hair is turning white like it's a contest.
You're losing that contest, or maybe you're winning. I'm not really sure.
No, I'm
yet.
losing. I'm losing.
Do we have anything else to say?
Are you doing anything fun for Father's Day?
I don't know. Nothing standing out as of yet, but sometimes I just like to be left alone. No, if grilling in the backyard with the fam, that'd be a fun Father's Day, right? I mean, that could be any Sunday.
What was the last time you shit blood?
I hope you will you perish too early? I hope not, but I hope you get to the end of today's show before bleeding out of your ass.
This is the Chris Benoit podcast.
Okay, that's fantastic. All right, let's transition here. All right. Transitioning into topic number 1, UFC 316 over the weekend from Newark, New Jersey. And it was all over the place with bantamweights. Men's in the main event for the title, women's in the co. And as we mentioned, that Patchy Mix debacle, but breakthrough for Mario Bautista. We'll get into that. Topic number 1, though, is Merab Dvalishvili, the pound-for-pound ranked bantamweight champion, made his second title defense since winning it at the Sphere last fall, this time in a rematch with Sean O'Malley, a dominant rematch that would become a submission, a finish for Merab. So you're telling me that Merab beat the guy who was injured last time easier when he was healthy the second time around. That's what we're talking about here, Luke, because a fully healthy and out of excuses O'Malley still succumbed here to Dvalishvili as he continued what you might be calling an increasingly historic run across this division. He delivered a stoppage, no less. And the fact that he only continues to improve with age in the midst of this reign, it's ridiculous. Has Merab become the type of problem for the bantamweight division elites that as of right now can't be solved? We don't have an answer for how to stop this man when he's at his very best, because look what he did to O'Malley.
I don't think any problem is unsolvable, but this one is uniquely difficult. A lot of times, BC, you get basically, this is an oversimplification, but you'll often see two kinds of fighters. You'll see one that's very, very, when I say two kinds, I mean the kinds that get titles or fight in.
So not just
fights.
like white fighters and black fighters.
That's right. Or male and female. Or tall and short, or smart and stupid. It can go anywhere.
Gen 6 leapers and Gen 6 supporters.
Okay. But here's what I want to say. In terms of the group we're talking about, you tend to get something like in Izzy, who is very, very skilled and then works on all of the other physical elements to make sure that there's oxygen to power a skillful game. And then on the other side, you would get guys who are workhorses, grinders, who aren't necessarily sophisticated finishers, but they just have this kind of volume presence. But it's noted, it's limited by the lack of refinement.
Sure.
Whereas on the other side, the refinement can sometimes be limited by the gas tank. But what would happen if you actually got both of them together? And I think Merab is approximating something like that.
Even though he almost tragically injures himself every other month in training camp.
That's the only thing that's going to get him.
And came in with a back injury against Umar, probably had broken toes this time. But now, Luke, he can submit you, and his boxing is not just a little bit better. he was piecing up O'Malley, was he not? Like, this is crazy.
He certainly was in spots. Let's talk about what we saw in this fight. I love that this was a rematch because it gave us a lot of time, and especially it was a 25-minute first fight, to really examine what went right and wrong for both guys. And one of the things that you knew O'Malley was going to have to solve is when he gets taken down, but he's up against the fence, he tries to build height. We talked about building height before. Hip height, head height. These are very important concepts to getting back to your feet and then ultimately separating. But one of the things that Merab does, and he did in the first fight and all his fights, is he'll take you down, and once you try to build height by going to your base, he'll lock up that front headlock.
Yeah.
Now, I noticed that he actually did it in the first round, right at the end of the first round, and couldn't get it. But now, rather than being a place where he locks up the front headlock and then turns you back to the mat, basically just to break you back down and then go back to the ground and pound, just a kind of way to put the fight back on grounded terms. Now he's got fight-ending scenarios. So that's one element. Here's the other element, and there's many other things that I'm sure he added. But the other element, BC, I was talking about this with Long Island Luke. A lot of times in this fight and in the first, O'Malley would go into a stance, immediately switch, and then when he switched, he would go from that side's power shot to the body. So 2 to the body.
Yeah,
on
like,
either
wouldn't
side.
you say in general, O'Malley fought well in the beginning?
He did, but let me
Takedown,
he did.
stoppage,
He
good
did, but let me get
movement.
this point out in terms about Merab. I just want to make it about him and I want to give people specifics to look at. In the first fight, Merab's in an orthodox stance. He would use that check hook to check O'Malley whenever he would go from either side. He still did that this time when O'Malley would go to the body on the right-handed stance.
Yeah.
But when O'Malley did it on the left-handed stance, what did you see? Those blitzes he would go. And there were 2, 3, sometimes 4 punch combinations where he's hitting O'Malley even as O'Malley is retreating.
It was like O'Malley had no idea those shots were coming each and every time they
And
landed.
because he's reaching so far, he's so defenseless. He's not in a position to react or roll or do whatever he needs to do. And I'm like, dude, Merab not only got better from the rematch and picked up some extra things, but he's now deadly in places that you would have never imagined it before. What else can you possibly ask from this guy?
Even the times that he's controlling O'Malley on the clinch against the fence, and it's almost what we would call a beginning of like almost a rest hold. He's firing in knees to the back of the thigh. Like he is really trying to fill every second with something. And now that he can get you out of there, if you make a mistake and you're not savvy on the ground, and this elevation of that boxing for as long as this, he's at his very peak, right? The experience, the mindset, the physicality, the still young stamina, it's all there in his mid-30s. For as long as this window is open, I mean, we're going to get into the Sandhagen fight, and he brings a whole Swiss Army knife of challenges that I think it's going to be an interesting matchup. But, like, let's just say Merab had lost this fight. Let's say O'Malley landed the better strikes over 5 rounds and got the decision. We would have been like, okay, Merab had a good run for a guy that you probably wouldn't have believed to go on that run. No, he just submitted that guy in the rematch and beat him easier than the time when he fought him when he was hurt. So now you're like, he has 13-fight win streak within the UFC. That's 3 away from Anderson Silva. I know Makhachev may get there first. Jon Jones also has 13 right now. Who knows if he'll ever fight again? Dana doesn't sure to know. But 13 in a row, dude. And like, he might be, tell me, I know you're not usually up on the pound for pound thing, but it feels like everybody either has Islam or Ilya, right? Number one, or does some people still put Jones in there? I don't think so. Islam or
I
Ilya,
don't think
right?
anymore. Yeah, I'll look it up. But
Is
I don't.
Merab at worst number 3 right now? Is he in the conversation on this streak of 12 straight wins, 2 title defenses, the names in succession? We don't have to, Aldo, Jan, O'Malley again. Like, it's Cejudo. It's been pretty incredible. Is he in the discussion for pound best in this game right now?
He has a case for number 2. Now, they still, according to the men's pound for pound rankings at UFC.com/rankings, which they will update at some point today or tomorrow.
AI can update that, or just unemployed writers?
Yeah, just unemployed people no longer in the industry. Jones is still sitting at 2 for what it's worth. I think it's silly, but whatever. So Topuria and Merab could be a 2 or 3 or 3 and 2, depending on how you want to rank them. That's the first thing I'd say. Number 1, he absolutely. I wouldn't put him pound for pound number 1, but I think number 2 and certainly at worst 3.
Well, like a couple fights ago, we probably wouldn't have believed this because we thought he was getting the pressure and the wrestling together were enough. But with the complete game, he's now dealing with people that have no flaws in their games in terms of the contemporaries that you're competing with at the top of that pound for pound list. Has he raised those other parts of his game like when Khabib did that and became the pound for pound king? Like, is he closing out any Any parts of him that are negative, any vulnerable spots, has he removed all of them?
Well, I mean, this is the funny part about it. I thought before the Umar fight, obviously incorrectly at the time, and there's no denying it, I thought that was a time when the limits of his refinement were going to show up. But in fact, something kind of funny happened. His takedown defense, as we talked about in that fight, was extraordinary. And then the fact that, Umar simply couldn't keep pace, he overwhelmed him. That was kind of like a new leveling up. And here against Sean O'Malley, yes, he beat him the first time, but he still leveled up by asking more of himself along the way. This is an extraordinary development to be happening for a 34-year-old champion at 135 pounds. To the point, BC, is I know there's a conversation about like who's the best ever at 135, and Dominic Cruz still has overall more title defenses. But I'm going to say this: I've never seen a more overwhelming force at 35 than Merab Dvalishvili. He's the most overwhelming force I've ever seen in this weight class. You can decide that Cruz's championship run is still more decorated, fine, but no one is as much of a tidal wave over their contemporaries as this guy is.
He just either overwhelms you or goes through you or like it wears you out. Like it's overwhelming, yet he's not. I mean, I don't know what his ceiling is marketing wise. He's already 34. Maybe he just looks like another boring foreigner that wrestles to some people, but that's not the case. His personality is also wacky and like lovable, but there's also like this everyman side of him. Like afterwards, I mean, we got a great video of him exiting the arena that shows the love that people have for him and the joy that he brings. He's crazy. He's liable to fight a fan at any point, but he also puts out a good message. Let's look at this guy.
This is good life.
Left turn.
No, I'm not gonna give no one this. It was so easy, guys. Thank God. Hard work paid off. I'm great, healthy, happy, not hungry anymore. Let's go.
Like, obviously, when he's doing the inspiration, anyone can do anything. Like, people are like, well, no one will ever have the stamina you have or be as crazy as you or maybe be able to put all these skills together. But, like, would you say that he's a refreshing superhero in the game today?
Superhero is a strong word, but he has certainly ingratiated himself with the fan base, not just because he keeps winning, although that tends to solve most problems, but because like when they need him to step up, he does. When they need someone to be extra, he is. When there's something missing and they feel like he can be called upon to act in some kind of way to fill a need, he gives you every possible thing that he can. And I think to the point you raised, there are probably always going to be things that hold him back a little bit in terms of being a popular attraction. But my view on that is, BC, not everybody's going to be a popular attraction. Some will be more popular than others. And of course, this is going to blow up his profile. But I said it in answer to the first question. I'm going to say it again here. I just don't know if you're a fan, what else you could possibly ask that he hasn't tried to deliver. Oh, he wasn't giving us enough finishes. Well, dude, I mean, what do you call this? Like he was searching for it from round one.
He's also really humble too. And here's Merab thanking Aljo profusely for this. I mean, it was said afterwards, by the way, that it was easy to deal with O'Malley's speed because of all the time he had put in with Aljo, who he said is faster. Here's Merab.
That proves again that not always best fighter wins. O'Malley got really lucky against Aljo, but I'm grateful for my friend Aljamain Sterling, and I tell him today I have to split my bonus and give him half. Let's go, brother. That will be my wedding gift, but I will never pay your gift. You are the man. Thank you, bro.
Luke, that is one side of it, and we'll get to the idea of him and Corey in a second. But to close off on O'Malley here, are you willing to side with the extreme haters who are like, see, we've been telling you all along? They're not saying O'Malley sucks. They're just saying the idea that he was ever really a pound-for-pound rated breakthrough star champion was a romanticized claim that was never backed up. And then they could say, he did the Cheeto rematch because there was a storyline there. But did he beat the guy? I mean, it's hard to say that when he went in there and fought Jan and came away with the win, right? I mean, that's a breakthrough win that showed what he's all about. He also forced Aljo into overextending. But part of that critical take is, well, Aljo was injured and took the fight because the UFC forced him to. Is there enough proof now to say maybe O'Malley was never all that? Or is it just, you're not going to beat that guy twice? You had two chances, you're still not going to beat that guy. the end.
So this is an interesting one, and I've seen a bunch of YouTubers in MMA kind of go after O'Malley and say that they got fed a bunch of propaganda about him. And it's like, I don't understand what that complaint is. I mean, I'm not saying it's wrong, but it's like, do you think Sean O'Malley is the first fighter the UFC has given favoritism to, or that he will be the last? Like, this is, or by the way, are there fighters in Top Rank or PBC or or PFL, whoever? There are favorites within any promotion. There are favorites to any promoter. Like the fact that one guy got it and it didn't ultimately work. Guys, I have news for you. They gave Conor McGregor very favorable matchups at very favorable times on purpose to boost him. Now, he made the most of it in the end, and so these are big differences. But like they've had a bunch of failures on that end too, like pushing Sage Northcutt and pushing some other ones along the way, Paige Van Zandt, whoever. There's just a bunch that bottomed out. Like it doesn't always work. It's an inexact science. So then if you say, well, I didn't like the propaganda, I didn't like the way that this was pushed, that's fine. Like you don't have to. I'm not arguing that that's something you have to accept.
Yeah.
But it's a weird charge to be like, well, they gave this guy favoritism. Every fucking promoter does this.
Every potential star will get the Dana White privilege.
Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
What I can say is I do know for a fact that when he was on the Contender Series, that the people who have access to the numbers told me that what he was doing was, 2 or 3x what anyone else in that series had done. And so the UFC looked at that and was like, okay, there's something here. But whether it was the suspension with USADA and the time off or the way the first Chito Vera fight ended, somewhere along the lines, the fans kind of let go of that early enthusiasm that they might have had.
Don't a lot of people think Jan won? Isn't that a debated score?
I thought Jan won that fight too. But I mean, that's the judges. That's not UFC. Like they can't do anything about that.
But it plays into people's thinking on that.
But I just want to be clear. Like people are like, oh, he got favorable treatment, and they pushed him, and they didn't push anybody else, and they didn't push Merab. That's fight promotion.
There's a difference between that and fraud check, right? I mean, this is not a fraud check situation. He beat Jan, knocked out.
He became
Sterling,
a champion.
Okay?
You could say maybe he's not the best guy at bantamweight. He's not the best guy at bantamweight. But he's a very good fighter.
But he had no. I feel for him because this was a no stone unturned moment. I mean, everything from internet use to dyeing the hair to maybe he should have kept Jay in the peen, right? I mean, after all,
I could have told him that.
This kind of proves that. But
you know what? We haven't talked about this. Like I thought O'Malley looked a little bit better in spots.
That's what I'm saying. I feel bad for him because he went back in, got fully healthy, fully committed himself. You can really hear the way he talks about his wife that there was it's seemingly like he's in a much better home spot with being a family man. And it still wasn't enough because Merab was great. And it's a bad style matchup for him ultimately. But I don't think it's that was never good enough or he's regressed, whatever. We should have the debate in a second about 145 or 135, but other people were taking a chance to dunk on him, including Piotr Jan. Let's check out that No Mercy tweet. This is what happens when you're handed things you didn't earn. Back in line, buddy. At Sugar Sean. We wouldn't hate that rematch. Luke, I want from you whether Sean O'Malley should move up to featherweight or if not, what is the correct bounce back opponent so that in your mind you're thinking 1 to 2 really good wins from getting another title shot, right? You still have a big name here, but who should he have to earn it against if he doesn't move up?
Well, this is a tough thing to answer. I don't know how soon they're going to get Merab back out there. I mean, listen. You can do the Rich Franklin thing, which means after you realize that there's a guy at 85 that's going to prevent you from ever holding the title, you just kind of bounce around between 85 and 205.
Max Holloway did the same thing.
Right, but Max Holloway had very uneven results from it until he really committed to what? All right, sorry.
Luke, are you in an email exchange?
No. It's my wife. Sorry, right.
You can have her call in.
Tukey got sick again today, so it's an issue. Yeah, it's an issue. All right,
young Tukey's.
The point. I apologize. I apologize to you. I apologize to the viewers. But getting back on it, BC, it's hard to say because the Max Holloway thing was a little bit uneven. So he went to 55 the first time against Poirier.
Sure,
but remember he survived that fight. But even the people around him were like, he didn't really go to 55. He just kind of cut less weight.
Right.
And then when he went against Gaethje, he really went to 55. And then he cut back down, which I was not sure was the right idea. And obviously against Poirier, now he's just going to go back 55 permanently. In other words, there's a bit of a body change you have to make that doesn't make that going back and forth so easy. What I can say, though, is listen to some of these ideas. Sean O'Malley versus Pitbull. Sean O'Malley versus Yair Rodriguez. Sean O'Malley, Diego Lopez. Sean O'Malley, Brian Ortega. Like any
at featherweight, you're talking
at
about
featherweight.
fresh new matchups.
Fresh new matchups.
Because
they all
Luke
sound
wanted
good.
Figgy.
So I think Figgy is in real trouble. He got his knee shredded.
That's true.
I'm imagining that surgery is going to hold him back at least the rest of the year.
I was thinking like Song Yadong.
Song Yadong at 35 is something he could do. That's another one. By the way, I guess Jan's got the McGee fight, but a Jan rematch still holds some intrigue. Sean's got options. He's got options, but the problem with going back and forth is I don't know if his body's going to adjust. I kind of wonder, maybe go to 45 for a little while 35. I'm not even joking when I say this. He might just have to wait until Merab gets old. Merab's 34. Sean, I think, is what, 30? 29, 30? He was 29 in the first fight, so I think he's 30 now. You wait a couple of years, Merab's going to be what, 36, 37?
Wait, you're going to have to rematch Jan. You're going to have to.
No, I don't mean like hold out and not fight. I'm saying you have to realize no one is going to upset the
You're saying
Merab.
Linger and stay in contention.
Yeah, but just understanding no one's going to really upset the Merab apple cart until old age gets him. And then there's going to be a turnover. And you kind of just have to bide your time until then.
Well, you were very matter of fact with that. And granted, Merab's giving you a lot of reason to a 13-fight on winning streak right now.
You don't think so?
Well, this is what I want to ask now because it's turning the page now to Merab versus Corey Sandhagen. And I guess the way I wanted to pitch it was, in some ways, is Corey Sandhagen like the toughest style matchup within the elites in this division for Merab?
So this is, to me, the million-dollar question. On the feet, obviously, he's a lot better than Merab. Okay, no question in my mind.
Long, leaps in, all kinds of awkwardness.
Yeah, and he can obviously use knees in a way that he can combine disparate striking elements. No question. Also, really no question in my mind, if Merab wants the takedown, he can get it. The issue for me in both the first fight and in particular the second fight is that Sean did not have a great answer for it. When Sean is pressed up against the fence, you could see this time he was able to build height relatively quickly. And that made a big difference. Not to winning and losing, but into winning those moments.
Sure.
But when he got taken down into open space and now he's flat on his back and he's got full guard, that was a problem in the first fight and that was a problem in the second fight. The question you have to ask yourself is, does Corey have a solution to that problem? Against the fence, let's say he's as good or roughly as good as O'Malley. At distance, let's say he's as good or better than O'Malley. But if he gets taken down in the middle, which Merab can very easily do, what is he going to do there? And if he doesn't have an answer there, he's going to lose there.
Right, and you're not wrong. I'm saying he's a better clinch fighter than O'Malley. He has more tools and a little bit longer, more dangerous.
Is Merab really going to hang out with him in the clinch?
I'm just saying, I'm trying to show you like the areas where, and then also, wouldn't you say his submission threats on the ground could neutralize some of Merab's attack when he's in top position?
So, I mean, I've said this before, and I think it's something to explore, although there's context in which it has to be appropriately applied. But I believe that the leg locking game of Corey Sandhagen could be quite valuable. Now, the problem is it's going to be very difficult to get into a good place to do them when Merab goes chest to chest, 2 knees on the ground. Although in this fight, he kind of opened up a little bit more. He had good tight control, but at the same time, he was willing to create some space to do that.
But he knows there's no pushback from O'Malley for a submission threat there.
O'Malley went for a couple of omoplatas in the first fight, but they got separated because he held Merab's glove on the arm that was trapped. He didn't even bother going for them this time. There's a question about strategy there. I'm just saying, if you go, dude, submitting someone who's very good off of your back in either high-level jiu-jitsu or high-level MMA without hurting them first is very, very difficult to do. It's very difficult to do. To me, you have to kind of reset the submission sequence. You have to reset the submission terms. And going backside 50-50, which he did against Figueiredo, it didn't work, but then coming up and then taking top position, if you're able to enter into the position to start that exchange, I think it could be hugely valuable. Can he do that against a Merab who probably will be expecting it?
I love this matchup.
I love
that
it
this
too.
is next because, if Merab thinks to this guy as well, then we're going to continue to fit him for that crown. I mean, we're getting closer to dealing with the idea of where he's on his way to be, which is the greatest bantamweight, if not already there. Not that I feel like we need to debate that or he needs to be that right now. Also, shout out to TJ Dillashaw in this argument. Okay? Shout out to him.
He's one of those guys, like, it's kind of funny, right? Had all the skills in the world, but then was taking EPO.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is what I was talking about, the grinders versus the skillful ones.
Yeah.
He was trying to be the best of both of them.
Was Conor right that TJ was really a snake in the grass in the end?
I mean, I don't think Conor should be the one
Let's get video here of Merab and Corey cheesing it up backstage, but I'm fired up for this. Let's go.
Yeah, Aljo. He's the most deserving guy in the division. What do you think? Of course. We never fought each other, and you respect. I mean, I respect you. And then,
Let's just get to this.
Hey, I'm gonna just take a little vacation, okay?
Okay, cool. Me too. I'm gonna go on a run though, right now. Start running right now.
I mean, Rob's funny too. This is.
There's not going to be much heat in that one, so I think that's going to be a co-main. But as a fight, that is as interesting as any title defense he's had.
Long Island Luke, I've been waiting to tee you up on this, given your expertise. How long do you think it took O'Malley to jay the peen after the fight ended?
My expertise? I'm going to say in the hotel room after, right? Like right after he left.
Oh, that's quick.
Yeah.
Quick.
Are you asking him how quickly did
Look, I didn't put this
Sean
narrative.
jack
I
off?
didn't add this narrative to the news. Like, I didn't make this a topic, but, Sean did.
I mean, you're making it one now.
Well, Long Island Luke knows things. He knows things, all right? There
How
you
soon
go.
did you jay the peen after getting home?
This is too far, though. That's
Well,
too
it took
far.
me longer to get home. I had to make a trek. Sean was probably quicker.
How much meth did you smoke on the way back on the Long Island Railroad?
I actually took an Uber home, but
all right, how much meth did you smoke in the Uber?
Wait, how much was that Uber ride? Like $100?
it was an expensive Uber. It was over $100.
What the frick? Dude, get on the freaking train.
Why would you not take the LIRR?
Because the trains, there was a 2-something train or a 4 a.m. train, so I would have just been stranded.
Go drink, you pussy. You don't even have
go
any
meet
kids.
Virginia, something. I mean,
I would have had to drive home from the train station. There's a bunch of factors, guys.
All right.
Drops the Jupiter on that ass. All right. By the way, speaking of the time, if you can put the camera back on me, I'm here to tell you something, listeners. Now's a good time to remember where tequila's story truly began. Let's go back to 1795 when Cuervo invented tequila. Since then, Cuervo has stayed true to its roots with the same family, the same land. How about that same passion? That's what I'm talking about. 230 years later, Cuervo's still right here in every pour, in every margarita, in every celebration. So enjoy the tequila that started it all. Cuervo, the tequila that invented tequila. ProximoCuervo.com. Please drink responsibly. Reviews are in. AB, Aaron Bronstetter, as our third man in the Cuervo UFC 316 pregame preview. Not bad, right?
Yeah, we love Abron here. He did a great job this week as well down on the ground there.
Huge fan of that gentleman right there, all right? Everyone brings a different flavor when they join us. You know what I mean? Add something to the dynamic. Right?
We got what flavor should we bring in?
For what?
The next one.
I don't know. That's a great
What do you
question.
think, Long Island Luke?
I don't know, man.
He's a big Jed guy,
I'm a big everyone guy. I love Chuck. I just combined
Chuck
their names.
is-
Chuck,
Chuck is-
Jed, all of them.
Chuck is timeless and legendary.
We've never had a woman in the studio.
There's a reason.
Why? Because you're a
No,
depraved
no,
because
because of your,
you're playing
because
pocket
of your
pool.
ass bleeding, all
Let's
right?
bring in Senko for the next one.
Oh, Senko she'd be down. But the problem is she ends. Well, you know what? She does the weigh-in show on Friday. It's a possibility. It's a possibility. We
I
could
doubt
have her in
it
the
is,
studio.
but I doubt we'll see her, but that'd be welcome. I'd be welcome.
It'd be very welcome. Yes, indeed.
Yes. All right, topic number 2 time, staying on UFC 316, but staying in the bantamweight division. This time, chicks, and what a breakthrough for this inspirational woman, Kayla Harrison, climbing the mountain in the UFC to add the title to her glowing collection of 2 gold medals, 2 PFL World Championships, couple $1 million checks. This time was full domination, like the odds told you, against 2-time champion Julianna Peña, setting up the idea of Amanda Nunes coming out of retirement. And shout out to UFC and Joe Rogan in particular for making sure she came in the cage. We got a face-off. We actually have something to talk about, Bonnie Raitt, about the women. So, Luke, considering everything that Kayla has accomplished, persevered through her incredible backstory, what sounded like an impossible cut Thursday night in terms of the weight to get to 135, this is a feel-good story. We need more of these. Is this, though, enough positive buzz? Kayla Harrison's breakthrough win, Amanda Nunes, the legend coming out of retirement, to give a real shot in the arm to women's MMA in general, now that we have like a legit, badass, historic super fight to get fired up for?
I'm going to say cautiously optimistic. Yes. Yes, I do. I think people, it wasn't like there was an epic fight to really sell some kind of a next fight or as good and as dominant as Kayla looked, BC. It almost felt too easy to me. So the problem was you didn't get this like incredible star-making performance. It wasn't like McGregor against Ford. Now he was supposed to fight Aldo previously, but then he got injured, so he ended up fighting Chad Mendes.
Where he had to persevere.
But the Chad Mendes fight still launched him into another level, even beyond that, into stardom. You didn't get quite something like that. Kayla was simply too good. However,
well, her real fight was Thursday night, and I respect that.
which I completely believe. I had people challenging me. They're like, the cut's normal. I'm like, dude, there's nothing normal about 2 a days just to lose weight. That's not skills, just to lose weight 2 a days. But okay, I think this is a tremendous shot in the arm. It's not enough to fix broader problems, which we've talked about. But when I've said this before.
And you say broader because we're talking about women?
I know you do, because this is your dad joke that you go back to because you are a fucking old piece of
my
shit.
My dad's more focused on Ditchiva, but keep going.
I think what I was going to say is, BC, to me, there were people who said they got big fight feels watching the face-off, and I'm trying to think, when was the last time someone told you, not that they thought it was a good fight, not that they liked it, not that they thought it was important, but on the women's side, where you saw some kind of event and you got, quote, big fight feels from it. I can't really, I'm sure it's been relatively recent,
let me tell you,
but I can't remember.
My knee-jerk would have been Cyborg versus Nunes, but the reality is that wasn't that big in terms of like the crossover. Even Dana himself, I thought, gave a good answer to that when they asked him, like, could Kayla Amanda be, is it bigger than that? And he was like, yeah, our sport is so much more developed and evolved since then. And I think he's right? Like, it's so that one didn't feel as big as it actually represented, which was the same type of thing, a true passing of the torch, crossroads moment right there. Even though that was probably a better fight on paper, but still, Luke, this is, she's kind of the female Brock Lesnar. It's kind of this one-of-one incredible freak athlete with this great story and incredible work ethic.
Lesnar had a pre-built fan base. It's very different.
True. And it's not on the level of attention of that fight, but is Kayla Harrison what women's MMA needs right now? Her story, her presence, Yes.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Is this the perfect fight to be, so that was just sort of waiting for her to get to this point? Yes, it is.
Like if you had to ask a question, like before even winning a UFC title, who's the most decorated combat athlete to ever win a UFC title? Kayla Harrison has a claim to that.
Her and Cejudo, right?
She has a claim. She has 2 gold medals.
I know.
She has a claim to that. So to me, it's like you can sell that if they really want to. What I will say is this, and I hope the UFC, they're not going to care what I have to say, but I hope enough people say this. Let's put it that way. I hope that they put a little bit extra into this one.
Yeah.
I hope that they treat it as big as we think it might be. So
does that mean main event of a pay-per-view? Because that was a topic that Kayla dealt with in the post-fight
I think
press
you
conference,
absolutely could do main event of a pay-per-view, but
it's
more
big
than that,
enough, but she's like, I don't know.
Doing special level of promotion for it. I think this one kind of, listen, I don't know if this one is like the best case, but I think it's the best case we're going to get for a women's fight that can produce an extra media effort.
Are you saying that similar to what, and this is where we credit Jake Paul and MVP and Nikisa as promoters, they're making this Friday night, July 12th, New York, Madison Square Garden, Netflix, Taylor, Serrano 3, full card with women, like, big time names that they've acquired. They're making it this, no matter what it does ratings wise, like this, they have every opportunity to like be on a crazy spot to do crazy numbers and deliver a type of historic fight that like creates new fans and just matters. You're saying you want the UFC to do something similar to that, with that level of treatment and care, and saying this really is a potential passing of the torch?
I think so. And I think also, it doesn't have to headline a pay-per-view, but if it's going to be co-main, it has to be co-main to something like John versus Tom.
IFW.
Yeah. Something really, really, really big. Then it could do that. But I just feel like you don't get something. This is, we're just not in the era of Ronda Rousey. We're just not in the era of even the Misha Tates and the Katzenganas who were playing similar kinds of roles at the time. We're a little bit past that. But I just feel like this is a breath of fresh air at a time when we don't know when the next one of these is going to come around. Might as well strike while the iron is hot, put a little extra effort into it. They certainly know how to do that. They've certainly proven that they know how to do that. I would like to see that.
This is a babyface story. Let's show the video, if we can, of Kayla Harrison exiting the arena. It's similar to the Merab video. It just was a feel-good moment in a lot of ways.
Amazing. I can't believe it's already...
Look at her face. Not a mark on it.
Hello. Thank you. Thank you for everything. Thank you. God bless you. That's it.
And then, Luke, I don't know if you're going to get fired up for this, but she even put the belt... Dana wasn't in the cage famously to put it around Ngannou when he won the championship, but she put it on DJT right there. And,
Yeah, I saw that.
Big moment for Kayla right there. And then if we can show the face-off pick that we did see in the cage, we can't show any footage, but like, dude, I got the feels. I got fired.
This is what I'm talking about, man. Like, when was the last time you saw a women's face-off and you were like, damn, this one, I can't wait to see this one.
I mean, like, I've been excited for rematches like Rose Joanna is a good example, or maybe even Joanna Whaley we were expecting. But
That's probably
not
the
historic
closest
level. You really have to go back to Cyborg versus Nunes to feel anything like this. And then you got to go way. I mean, you got to almost.
Dude, you have arguably the greatest combat athlete who became a UFC champion against the greatest women's fighter of all time.
And their ex-teammates with the backstory. And I don't think they're going to play it like into a heated rivalry, but you could tell that story. And I'm not trying to say it's going to be what Rousey versus Tate 2 was with them coaching the Ultimate Fighter and people like really into it.
Oh God, I hadn't even thought about that.
But I'm not asking for like the Rousey revolution already. I'm just asking for something in the women's game to be presented big, to be treated with respect, and to deliver, to honor the best of what we have here right now. And this is the best of it. The only problem with this is I wanted to see Kayla have to go 5 rounds. And I thought maybe Peña, because she's so stubborn, has a great chin, has great cardio, was going to provide that. I don't really know if she can do this at this weight at 5 rounds. I don't know how much longer she can do this at this weight.
Well,
it seems the weight cut was way harder than the actual fight. And that's not because Peña looked awful. It's just that Kayla's A-game dominated her. Do you think at this weight she could go 25 minutes in a war with somebody?
Not many times. She could maybe do it once or twice.
So
That's
then the key question that a lot of people are offering, and they asked it to Dana too, does this have to be a title fight at 135? Should this be a 145 super fight, 150 fight? Should you do BC's women's heavyweight?
I think you'd get a better. I truly believe you'd get a better fight at 45. Long Island Luke, do you get a better fight at 35 or 45? Kayla Amanda Nunes.
Probably at 45, but also you give Kayla the chance to become double champ. I know that's kind of a weird division, but like add that to the gold medal.
Oh, so you bring back the featherweight belt one more time?
I think it makes a lot of sense.
Or do you open up women's heavyweight?
I'll say this. If you're the
65?
UFC and you ask Kayla how many more times after this fight are you going to compete, and she says either not at all or maybe like one more time, put it at 45. Who gives a fuck? Put it at 45.
All right, here's Kayla talking about the Amanda fight. Let's get fired up.
You invite Amanda into the octagon and everything. Was that something that you were hoping and like wanting to happen to actually come in there?
No, I mean, it wasn't like a planned thing. I mean, in my head, this is what I want. And I saw her on the Jumbotron, and I was like, let's make some, what do the kids call it? Aura magic or Aura farm. I don't know what the hell they call it. Let's make some promotional magic right here. So I said, come on, let's go, girl.
Yeah, I think it worked out great.
Thank
you. When I spoke to Ali a couple days ago, he said like the perfect plan would be you guys first fight at 45 and at 35. Any sense that could happen, or do you think it'll be for that belt in front of you?
I have no idea, but I'm open to. I just want to fight. I definitely want to fight Amanda. She's the greatest of all time. I want to be the greatest of all time. I've wanted that for a long time now. It's not personal. There's no bad blood. I don't care what weight we fight at. Like I walk around at 100. I'm not even going to tell you guys what I walk around at. Never mind.
I guess just lastly for me, when that fight does happen, we don't know when it'll be, but there's so much history. It's been talked about forever. She's been gone for a while at a different gym. You've been improving. Like, what do you think this fight looks like? Do you think you could go do her a similar way to Julianna? Will it be a way harder fight? Listen,
I'm going to give Amanda as much time as she needs to prepare. I want her to be the best her. I'm going to be the best me. We're going to go in there and make some absolute magic in the women's division. We're going to break some records and make some history, and we're both going to make a lot of money doing it, and we're going to bring women's MMA to a whole new level.
How you might react when you saw her? Did you surprise yourself at all? Or
No, yeah.
I kept going there. Good stuff from Kayla. But Luke, in terms of the actual matchup, is it as simple as striker versus wrestler, contrasting styles, or will it be more of just a war of blood, sweat, and tears and guts for the 37-year-old Nunes making her return into a big fight?
I don't know how it could be anything other than striker grappler. You think Kayla's going to slug it out with her?
No, but what if Amanda is able to keep on her feet for a while?
Well,
What
then
if it becomes
Kayla's in deep trouble.
So it really is one person's strength and one person's strength.
I mean, you
against the
saw
other
a submission in this case. We were saying that on Wednesday that the best part of Kayla's game is ground and pound. That sometimes she's a little bit submission adverse. This time it was kind of like right there for her, and she went for it. So let's just say now submission or ground and pound is her best chance of winning. But when we say best chance of winning, I'm not going to say it's the only one, but it's pretty close to the only one. I just, if she can't get that fight to the floor, it's curtains.
Dude, do you think that it's possible, like, to go back to the Nunes comment for a second? Let's show the weight difference from Friday at 9 a.m. on the scale.
I had people telling me I was overreacting. I don't think I was.
No, you weren't. Making 135, and then 8 hours later at the ceremonial weigh-in, you see what coming back to life looks like.
I mean, she even said it post-fight, like that she wanted to quit on Thursday night cutting weight.
Here's what I'm going to ask you. I think she's a special figure that might deserve doing a solid for. The solid in this case would be bringing back that 45 title, letting her fight for it, and let's say she wins it, whether or not you need a rematch. And for the women's MMA sake, I hope they fight 3 times. But then she never fights 35 again. She already did it. She already proved it. She won 3 fights. She beat the champion, dominated her, tapped her out. If she beats, does she have to beat Nunes to get that type of treatment in your eyes? Does she have to beat Nunes in their first fight to then UFC go, okay, we're going to keep the 45 belt. You're the 45 belt champion moving forward.
That's a big question. I'm not really sure how they would adjudicate that. I mean, I think if Kayla wins, they might do a back-to-back fight between the two of them.
Don't they have a history of making divisions for people like Cyborg 45?
Yes.
I mean,
well, they tried to make Cyborg go down to 40, and that was, a bit of a failed endeavor, but or not a lasting one at a bare minimum. It's hard to say. It's hard to say what they're going to do. My feeling is they probably won't do any of this. My feeling is they're probably just going to make her go to 35 and then just say, screw it, go
either
to 35.
way, we got something to believe in.
But we got something great to believe in, and Kayla is a real threat to anybody at 35. I think you would agree. And Amanda Nunes, her game speaks for itself.
Early offshore odds, Kayla about a 2-1 favorite. Amanda is
really?
Amanda's
I'd have that
plus 175.
That line's gonna move, right?
What are you feeling?
So I just Googled it to try and see. They have plus 145 Nunes, minus 170 Kayla.
Interesting.
That's a little better. And I still think I honestly the odds could flip by the time. Amanda has always been criminally underrated. Like people didn't, including us, didn't really catch on until she was like clearly the dominant figure. Because she had a couple of fits and starts early in her career.
Well, I think once
sinusitis
she
and all
did
that
that
bullshit.
to Tate, we became believers quick. To be fair, because there were still questions. The fight before Tate was UFC 196, the first Valentina fight, and because Valentina rallied in the third and was on top of her and like almost full mount, and it was like, oh, maybe Nunes isn't that. The Tate was such an eye opener, just the brutality in which she won that. And then what was Rousey the exact next fight?
I feel like we were counting her out for Rousey too, though. Like everyone was high on
No,
her.
so the story is the UFC and TKO execs or WME execs at the time. Maybe not like the matchmakers or anything, but I think the TK. Let me correct that. I think the matchmakers knew what was what, and the people inside UFC. But apparently, my understanding is the TKO execs expected Rousey to just walk through her.
Oh wow!
And were absolutely flabbergasted that she got pasted the way that she did. I have that on good authority.
I remember the promotion for that fight, and literally the promos were only Ronda. They didn't even show Amanda.
And not just that, they wouldn't. If you guys remember this, they wouldn't show any Rousey highlight of the home fight.
Yes,
they would show nothing about that. Where it's like, well, I mean, I feel like the fact that she just got head kicked into oblivion in her last fight is relevant for this one, but.
I know for a fact when I worked at ESPN that Rousey would call and complain to her point person there when the SportsCenter intro would show the home highlight at all. This was the build to the Pena fight.
No.
So she had some level of almost pushback / control on ESPN SportsCenter and was heavily monitoring that.
Powerful figures in the sport get a lot of stuff silenced and squashed.
Yes, indeed. All right, let's stay with UFC 316. We got a lot to talk about in the undercard recap, and we're going to talk first about Bantamweight Patchy Mix. Look, Luke and I covered that entire run for Patchy Mix in Bellator. He truly, truly was world-class, and we believed he could parachute right into the top 5 in the UFC and make instant trouble for anyone. He was being hailed as sort of this gift that dropped in and could be 1 to 2 fights away from catching a world title opportunity. Instead, man, he caught nothing but straight strikes to the face, no head movement, beat up, a little bit of a rally in the third. But Luke, this has to be our lead undercard story from the just extreme lack of any awareness to move from the punches, his flat foot plodding style. This was, and then unwillingness to shoot until the fight was already in hand. This loss was as disastrous as I could have imagined for Patchy. Yes, it fuels everyone going, see, the UFC's at a different level. Then I just don't think that's the case for Patchy. Was this the worst possible version of him that could have showed up at the worst possible time? Or was there some level of fraud checking here? Because I know the Patchy I watched. He fought Sergio Pettis, Horiguchi. He put these dudes to sleep. He knocked these dudes out, Raufeon Stotts. That was not him. And he's in his prime. So, Luke, what the hell was it on Saturday?
Yeah, this was bad. This was very,
I
very bad.
didn't even say the name. Mario Bautista, 8-fight win streak. Congratulations.
Yeah.
And he looked great,
Did we not
too.
say last week that I said he's, like, people don't want to give it to him because they hate him, but he's actually a good fighter?
He is.
Bautista's he's a good fighter.
I thought he was going to get subbed in this. I thought it was going to be the monstrous breakthrough Patchy
I'll
Mix
give a credit
moment.
to, I was listening to Jack Slack about this, and Jack Slack noted that if you go back to the Patchy Mix fight against Sergio Pettis, that what does Mix do? 30 seconds into the fight, he cage controls him, makes contact, and then swims the arm through and takes the back. So like 30 seconds in, he's backpacking this guy. Where the fuck was that?
Where the
fuck was that?
Or where the fuck was that even in round? Why are you not spending the entire third round spamming to get his back on the ground? Like just spamming.
Like where was any of that? I've said this before, and we said it last week. The guy who ran through the Bantamweight tournament in Bellator, by the way, and people are like, oh, who did he beat? Well, he beat UFC veteran Kyoji Horiguchi.
Yeah.
He beat UFC veteran and finished him, by the way, with brilliant choke from the back using one of his legs, BJ Penn style, to hold him up. Sergio Pettis put Magomedov to sleep and then knocked out Stotts in the first fucking round.
Damn.
The guy who ran through that tournament does have a claim to being the best bantamweight. But we said it, when he had the rematch against Magomedov, all of a sudden he just looked, by the way, he was lucky to get that win too.
But
that was a very controversial win.
But didn't you write that off as there's no stakes on the fight? It's an unnecessary rematch. It's Don Davis just throwing these Bellator people where they don't belong. I was willing to give him that pass. But this is your UFC debut where you're coming in with people saying, this could be the boogeyman of the division. There was the rumor that he had given it to Merab for years in sparring when they'd done some work together.
I've heard a lot of stories that him and Merab have very competitive rounds, and that this time Mix definitely gets the better of it.
Did he freeze? Because I don't want to link this, but his fiancée, Tatiana Suarez, who I was picking to win the 115 title, I thought she was going to come in there and just kind of run through Weili. She had an unfortunate, horrible fight. She was a warrior. She went the distance there, but like that was almost like a big fumble and a big moment. Is this what this was for Patchy in your eyes? The fact that like there wasn't even like a game plan. He's just deer in headlights taking clean strikes at one after another.
First of all, some of the notion that the guys who fight outside of the UFC aren't as good in aggregate is true. The UFC is going to have more better guys per division than other rivals, typically. But I'm sorry, I lived through the merger of the Strikeforce roster. I lived through the merger of even the Pride roster. I lived through the merger of the WEC roster, which was relevant at 55 because UFC had a 55 division. And every single time it was merged, and we're talking like a lot of guys and ladies coming over, the first thing you heard was these guys are not going to do well. And then in aggregate, they ended up doing pretty well. In fact, Eddie Alvarez came over from Bellator, had a terrible first fight against, remember Don Cerrone kicked his legs into oblivion and he had no answer, and you're like, well, that was a terrible debut.
I wouldn't say it was terrible. He fought well in defeat, but it wasn't a breakthrough. It
He
wasn't
couldn't
a win.
find any answer for Cerrone's leg kicks, and it seemed like a lot of other guys at that time were able to do that. However, what happened to Eddie? He went on to win a goddamn title there and many other places too. He proved his worth. So listen, Mixes 31, we'll see. But, he's like, well, I took this fight on 3 weeks' notice. It's like, dude, if you have been off for as long as he's been off and been as vocal about being off as long as he's been off, and you take a fight on 3 weeks' notice, you don't get to complain about that after the fact. I understand that it can be a limiting factor, but you've been at the ready, chomping at the bit for an opportunity. You accepted it. You had all this time to work on the difficulties, and he was able to make weight under those which, by the way, Mix is a large bantamweight. That's the other part too.
Was it a tough weight cut in the end because of the late notice, and that ultimately describes this, or is it that mixed with the lights got brighter and he just
he doesn't, dude. The fact that he fought just like he did in the Magomedov rematch tells me it's not octagon jitters. Mix, is a very experienced competitor, but to me, it's like why weren't you going to your A game? Why wasn't there any of that until kind of late into the third?
Is he hiding
basically?
an injury? Like, what is going on? I mean, let's watch the video that he's getting ripped for. This was on UFC Embedded during fight week.
Like right here where he rests, he won't be able to rest against me. Like if that kid can push him up against the fence, I think I can. I'm a three-time world champion. This guy's a journeyman fighter. I will him up, bro. I'm gonna him up. Look at his goals. I'll submit him, and I'll submit whoever's teaching him jiu-jitsu. I'll submit the whole crew.
But he didn't try a single takedown there until like the mid-third round.
I just don't get it. Listen,
So
if you have a guy who you know is gonna move a lot on you, and he's teeing off on you 2 minutes into the first round, it was clear that he wasn't getting out of the way of something. How is there not an adjustment to the thing that you actually are better, arguably better than the rest of the division at, which is grappling and then ultimately back creating back exposure and then taking the back? Where was any of that? And what does 3 weeks have to do with it? If that your A game is the thing you're going to be able to apply the most efficiently. Now, granted, against a resisting opponent, it's going to be difficult, but to me, it's like, oh, I had 3 weeks to prepare. Well, you made weight and you seem to have energy deep into the third. So
he got beat up. I mean, I know he rallied a bit in the third, but like, it's tough. I believe in his ability. I was there for these fights. I watched them. Like, that wasn't him in there, but it's a big setback. I think when Patricio Pitbull kind of came up flat and empty, you're also like, well, the dude's 37, right? It's also like, this is the aftermarket version of him. I want to see Patchy bounce back because that just it wasn't him, and that was humbling. But on the flip side, Mario Bautista really executed a nice game plan, focusing on the body, going there often, and then that opened up the shots up top. The problem is there was just no head movement or anything because Matt Mix was plotting and walking into him. But Bautista took advantage, and Luke, with 8 straight wins, he believes he now deserves a big fight. Let's hear him.
I guess, what do you want next for your career? Because the last time we saw you before tonight was all the way back in October. You might have to take some time off to heal, but people were saying Patchy was going to be on the short list for a title shot. So I guess, what do you want next?
Definitely want a top 5. I think if Patchy won this fight, they would shoot him all the way into the top. So I think I took his spot and all that hype. So I definitely deserve a top 5. I'm on an 8-fight win streak, and there's no one else above me that has a streak like that except for the champion.
Are you going to ask for main events or anything like 5-round fights? Because we've seen you against former champions, but we haven't seen you in those 5 rounds yet.
Yeah, I would love a 5-round fight. I think, I have a great team, and we've done 5 rounds. We have Benson, who's done multiple 5-round fights. So I would love to do that. I think it'd be a great test for myself.
I'm down with him getting a main event.
Me too.
Let's go. Let's continue this story. I mean, he got a lot of negativity from the Aldo fight for fighting boring. I didn't think he won it, but he's not the judges. At the same time, we've seen him in action fights before. We've seen him be exciting. He did what he had to do in here. It was just he had a corpse in front of him, and I can't explain it. I almost wish Patchy would come out and say, this weight cut's killing me. I can't do it anymore. I got to move up. I don't even know if that's the case, but like, I'd almost lie in this instance to turn the narrative off of here. I mean, that's as bad as it gets.
Here's the thing that bad as it gets would be like viciously KO'd.
Getting stopped, yeah.
But what I was going to say was, how do you watch his performance? And you can say, I guess this is what's bothering me. I didn't quite crystallize it before. How can you watch that performance? And you might say, well, weight cut could play a part. Fine. Short notice could play a part. But how do you check off the list as not relevant that it was a skill issue? Like the way in which he was this ramrod straight and getting tagged over and over and over again. How do you look at that and say, oh, that's the weight cut? Because
we don't see him do that. I'm not saying he's the world's best striker, but he's evolved his game and leveled it up to a certain level.
It looks to me like he might have regressed. Worth considering. He's gotten away from like what made him good.
Damn. But then again, we're still talking about Patchy here when the story is supposed to be Bautista. So is Bautista, has he shown us through 8 fights, and it's a very impressive win streak, but then the big names come at the end, and the Aldo one has some questions around it. I kind of feel like this one has questions around it, although he handled himself the way he should have. Is he a future contender? Meaning in striking distance of a world title. Is he of that ilk? Has he shown you that?
Patchy?
No, Bautista. It's finally about Bautista here.
I feel like he's in a similar spot to Merab, where he's just going to have to earn it slowly. Huh? You know what I mean? Like, no, they're not going to hand him anything easy. They're not going to hand him anything fun.
He's not under the John Fitch plan, where you're kind of like...
I don't know if he's under the John Fitch plan, but he's probably not in a too dissimilar a place. Like, whatever good things are going to happen, he's going to have to take them. Straight up. He's going to have to go in there and rob the bank. Like that's
Long
what's going
Island,
to
look,
have
are
to
you
be.
impressed by Bautista? Because I know a lot of people are going to go like, all we're talking about is Patchy when that guy did what he had to do in there.
Yeah, like I had a bet on Patchy. I obviously thought Patchy would win. I did not think for a second it was octagon jitters. I was like,
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, Bautista just looks fucking good out there, and Patchy looks.
I know,
slow.
dude. At some point, the fan base is going to have to come to
I
terms.
guess I'm going to have to come to terms with that. I'm not giving him enough
Bautista
respect
is
here.
good. Now, how
No, he is good, yes.
The question is how good, and we don't know the answer to that because the Aldo fight didn't really tell us, nor did this fight really tell us. So there's still a question of like someone really pushing back on him at a higher from an elite standpoint and what that yields. We don't really know, but I have a lot of confidence that this guy is, dude, he's a mover. He has a high work rate. He's got pretty good striking. He's got very good wrestling. He's got good anti-grappling, so to speak. Like, I'm sorry, you're going to have a really good game plan and a very refined skill set to beat a guy like that. You simply are.
Interesting. In the middleweight division, Luke, we also saw Joe Poopy Pants Pfeiffer. You see that thing going around?
Who is definitely not sensitive.
Not at all.
Not a very sensitive guy.
Here's what I got to ask you. He ends up getting the 30-27, which I don't get, and then 2 29-28s over Kelvin Gastelum, the veteran, who got dropped twice in the first round, but did, I thought, work his way back in 2 and 3 to some degree.
Oh, he did.
In fact, I can't believe there wasn't a scorecard in his favor or more of an argument.
Well,
that,
no,
like, dude,
he
that
didn't.
was I thought that was a 2-1 Gastelum fight. I'm an old school Gastelum fan, of course, but I also see his limitations more than anybody. Credit for him bouncing back, but because he was able to bounce back and rally in, and Joe was really down to one punch at a time. They were right on the broadcast. He's just trying to line up and set up and cock that right hand. Did Pfeiffer show us in those final 2 rounds the limitations that might stop him from getting to the top of this division?
I don't know how this fight was that distinguishable from the Hermanson loss.
Really?
Yeah. Now, you might say, well, look, that's crazy. He dropped him. So he did. Like early on, Gastelum was getting worked.
Yeah,
I mean,
when Pfeiffer had the full tank,
Pfeiffer's
got
he's got nuclear power. He's a great athlete.
Fights angry, like he's in there. Yeah,
yeah, he's definitely like intent on finishing you if the opportunity presents. But to the point you raised, round 2 was much better round for Gastelum. I thought he was better. The reason I can't give it to him is because I thought he was better defensively in round 2, but just didn't get a lot of offense going. Even if I recognize Pfeiffer's offense went from like a 10 to a 5.
Yes.
And in round 3, I gave it to Kelvin Gastelum. Here's my question. That fight is 2 more rounds. Who wins that fight? Now, we don't know the answer to that.
I think Kelvin.
Well, A, you could make a very interesting case for Kelvin. And B, the Hermanson fight also started out with Pfeiffer very strong and then fading down the stretch over the course of 25 minutes. This one, we didn't get to 25. It stopped at 15, but the same kind of tenor of the fight and the same kind of pattern emerged in this one as well. It's like, it's not a question of whether Pfeiffer is good or bad. He's obviously very good. He's a good athlete. He's got ridiculous power. He's got very accurate punching. And, he's a threat to anybody, clearly. But did we see a demonstrable leveling up from the Hermanson fight to this one? I think he cleaned up some mechanics. I did think he looked a little bit more balanced in what he wanted to throw in general.
I mean, he's built. He's a specimen.
He's a great athlete. But I'm just trying to point out, it didn't seem to me like that was a pivot point. It seemed to me like it was like iterative improvement.
No, I think he still showed big limitations there. And then the whole was it because he was taxed with his gas tank? Is that why he reverted to the cocked right hand one? I mean, it looked like old
Pfeiffer?
Hendo in there. Yeah, it's like, dude, work behind that jab and put some things together here.
His jab is powerful too. Like, there's a lot to
So
like.
do you think it was a stamina dump in the last 2 rounds to some degree?
I don't know if it's a stamina dump.
You can't blame Mexican food this time, I don't think.
I mean, you could definitely blame the Newark food, though.
That's
can
true.
definitely.
You got a little bit of that Newark.
Yeah, you can straight up get HIV eating food in Newark. I mean, it's that bad.
All righty.
But what I was going to say was, I don't know if it was a dump as much as like Kelvin kind of also slowly diffusing a bomb. And the clock beat him in that sense, right? Like by the time he had diffused it and figured out how to get around it, he didn't have enough for that to really work.
So are you saying he should have to fight Edmund Shabazian next, first one to get?
I don't know about Edmund Shabazian. I'm just saying, if I'm Pfeiffer, you got to first of all, you got to win. And you got to win over a name.
Yeah.
And you dropped him. Like there's plenty to add to the highlight. But at the same time, if you're him, you kind of have to realize this is like, the concerns I had stemming from the Hermanson fight, they're no longer relevant. Can you make that claim confidently? I don't know.
No,
You can.
I'm not a believer right now. I'm a believer that he can finish guys better than him in certain situations. I mean, I think he'll get some stoppages. He's aggressive. He's putting together accurate punches, but we're gonna have to see more. We're definitely gonna have to see more. And this was maybe a wake up call to that. Hey, Kevin Holland, maybe you should consider a full-time career at 170, Luke. He went in there against Vicente Luque and looked like a contender, like he does at times when he fights at this weight class and doesn't take last-minute big money 185 opportunities. Dude, the choke, the shout out to Coach Travis Luter, like, are you not entertained and impressed by this? I want this version again. Not the Cowboy 2.0. Like, don't follow Cerrone's game plan to success. He's a Hall of Famer, he's a beloved figure. But Kevin Holland could be a problem at welterweight if he stays at welterweight.
Kevin Holland prepared and fighting up to his potential at 170 is fun.
Yeah.
It's exciting. It's interesting. Do I think he's the best 170er in the world? I don't know if there's evidence for that, but I think he can give the best 170ers a real tough time. You recall JDM only beat him via split decision. And I don't even know if Holland was still performing up to his abilities. BC, he's a dual threat.
Yeah.
On the ground, he can submit you. And certainly on the feet, he's heavy-handed. He doesn't mind contact.
He's entertaining.
Rangy. Gives good interviews. It's like, dude, like Cerrone settled into that role. He did fight for a title against RDA, but he got whooped in the first round and it didn't go anywhere. So to me, he kind of settled into that role in part because, you know, they needed a guy who they could put in that role. He can, fill in here, fill in here, fill in here. But at the same time, that was basically the maximum expression of what he could do in MMA.
Sure.
I don't think following that is the maximum expression for Kevin Holland. It seems to me like there might be a little bit higher of a ceiling.
I want to see him get serious and make a title.
And by the way, Cerrone was a dual threat too, but he was a little bit more susceptible to, for example, shots to the body. He wasn't as durable.
He also froze in big fights. He even admitted that. I mean, after the Conor debacle, he kind of...
Yeah, I mean, that wasn't the only one he had issues in. But to your point, Kevin Holland does when he gets overwhelmed at 85, yes. But at 70, if he's a dog against someone at 70, he's a live dog the whole time.
Should he press his luck and try to take down either two risers, Pratesh or Morales? Pratesh maybe has more questions at this moment, but should he be looking in either of those directions at welterweight?
I will tell you, I don't think he's up for it, but a rematch against Buckley, who, by the way, he finished via strikes.
So Buckley's got to get through Kamaru and next week in
Buckley's
Atlanta.
got Kamaru this coming weekend in Atlanta, so I don't know. And he's kind of a little bit further along in the division, but this is my point. Holland finished that guy up a weight class, but that guy consolidated himself, had a plan, stuck to it, and is marching through. And now he's ahead of essentially Holland in the rankings. It didn't necessarily need to be that way.
Yes. Let's head down to Joshua Van of Don't Call It Burma, Myanmar. Dude, he's put that Charles Johnson loss behind him, improved to 4-0 since then, 7-1 in the UFC overall, just 23 years old. We're getting close to contendership here, and we can use that at flyweight, some fresh blood to mix in. Like, is he getting closer, or is this just... I'm loving his hands. I'm loving a lot what he brings to the table.
Josh Van's easily one of the best prospects in the sport. Easily. Independent of weight class, independent of organization. As you indicated, 7-1 in UFC, 23 years old. He strikes in combination.
Bruno Silva, the opponent, I forgot.
Yeah, Bruno Silva, who, by the way, I thought put up a spirited effort.
Sure.
Got abused, but still put up a spirited effort. Had a couple things going for him along the way that made... I mean, I still think Van gets hit a lot. And, you know, there's obviously a lot of polish to other parts of his game that have to come into play. To me, he's almost like a little bit too offensive. Not that I want to see him heavily dial it down, but just a little bit more precise, a little bit more patient, and then go. But the skills that he's got, BC, are extraordinary. The upside is extraordinary. I mean, when was the last time we were this excited about a striking flyweight contender on their way up the rankings? Like, it's just...
Not Mokaev.
Mokaev had a lot of potential, but he wasn't putting a lot of offense. He was doing a lot of control positions. Now, to Mokaev's defense, it looks like he's actually on the outside of the UFC, finally getting the maturation that he needs. So by the time he comes back, he might be a whole different thing.
If they let him back, you know.
I think they will. And I've often said, what did I tell you? They put these guys think that they want to be in UFC because the most amount of money is there, and they go too early and they're not ready for it. Josh Van is kind of circumventing that, BC, by his level of activity. He's fighting all the freaking time. And so I think that is keeping him, that's what he needs at this age. If he can avoid taking beatings and he can avoid some of the damage that he's currently suffering, sky's the limit. He is special.
Let's see. I need us to start talking about this light heavyweight Russian hammer who fights once per year, Azamat Mirzakhanov. He went in there against Ribeiro and wasn't a killer, although the guy was on a 2-fight win streak. But Luke, he's now 5-0 with 4 KOs in the UFC after he came off a Dana White Contender Series performance. Remember that was against Scheffel, where he just absolutely obliterated him. Dude, he wants a 5-round headliner right now. He's interesting. Can we get this guy active? Are you impressed? I know it's not the top level, but did he send Alonzo Menifield to hell last time?
I need to see more, but from what I've seen, he seems like he could be fun. Not afraid of contact, big power.
First round finisher.
First round finisher. Again, it's hard to make a big conclusion about this, but
imagine him. He was talking to Johnny Walker, who was in the front row afterwards, and they were kind of like, almost like, hey, we should fight. Would you be down for that?
They were booked, I think, for this night, and then it got replaced with Ribeiro. Johnny Walker had to pull out.
There you go. There you go. So he would have had a big-ish fight right there.
That's a tough fight for Johnny Walker.
It is, yes.
That's the Russian who can throw overhands like that? That's a tough guy.
Also, this Viking welterweight, Andreas Gustafsson,
who apparently has very sketchy tattoos. I'm not sure what the truth is, but people tell me his tattoos need to be investigated.
Is he dating Andrea League too? He's a self-professed caveman. Luke, is this the caveman we all deserve? Because no game plan, squaring up, walking into Chaos Williams' personal space for 15 minutes at full speed and full damage. Dude, he beat the shit out of him.
Yeah, he did. Again, putting the tattoo issue aside for just a moment because I'm not sure what the truth is, but
yeah, you tried to out somebody as a racist last time. You were Eddie Hall. Were you wrong on that one?
No.
Oh, you were right.
Well, I don't know where he stands currently, but did he say that in 2013? Yeah, he did. Who knows today? Doesn't matter. Point I'm trying to make is if we're just evaluating the fight on the fight terms, BC, underhooking and then just forcing a guy into basically the Greco version of an MMA fight is exactly what he needed to do. And Chaos Williams just had no way of doing anything other than hanging on and playing catch up. I mean, again, the best guys and the winningest fighters tend to put fights on their terms. This was about as clear as an example of that as it gets.
Yeah, I'm with you. But all in all, I thought a fun card. All in all, I learned some things. I was entertained. I wasn't unhappy about UFC.
The U knockout, the check hook.
Oh my gosh, dude, that was one of the best knockouts
so
I've ever
perfect.
seen. Face first,
stiffened up and went boom.
Why did they call him? What do they call him? Little
Zombie Junior.
Little Zombie Junior.
Yeah.
Just because he's another.
Well, I think he
he's his protege.
Yeah, he's a protege. And
him?
and then also he bigs him up and all.
Yeah. Okay, that guy's a fun guy to watch. So
that was a tremendous KO. Yeah, listen, it wasn't the biggest night of fights, but I thought. When it was over, it was. The only thing that's kind of interesting is the co-main event went a little quietly, and then Merab, to me, upped the ante by getting the sub.
Yeah.
But because it was a fight that was probably not supposed to be made anyway, we've talked about it. Again, it was made for largely, I think, promotional reasons, not like total meritocracy.
There wasn't a lot of love thought. And
but because that was circumvented, and then he gets finished even quicker, I think a lot of fans are like, oh, well, what the,
chicks in the co-main.
Cool for Merab, great for Merab.
Yeah.
What was the point of that? So there's a little bit of that happening.
Long Island Luke, anyone else we should be talking about? I mean, they kind of screwed Sergey Spivak, but it happens.
They definitely screwed Sergey Spivak. I feel bad for the guy. Got to give a shout out to Quillen Salkilled, my Aussie brethren. He got another dub there. Looked well rounded. Maybe
is he
someone
a CKB guy or nah?
Nah, he trains with. I don't know if he trains with JDM, but he's from Perth, so he's over
CKB is in New Zealand, right? Do I always get that wrong?
CKB is in New Zealand, yes, Auckland.
Yes. I always assume it's just one big island, the two islands.
No, it's not.
No. Shout out to Tasmania. Luke, you may know this. The finals, basketball playoff time, heating the hell up, right?
Oh hell yeah!
You know what I'm saying? So the NBA finals are finally here, and how about SGA's performance to pull back the Thunder even at one game apiece against the Pacers? And this is your last shot to win some real cash, by the way, before the season ends. The simplest way to do that is to get in on the action. Downloading the Pick 6 app from DraftKings right now. It's crazy simple. Just pick more or less when we're talking about the different stats and categories for 2 or more of your favorite players, and boom, you're in the mix for big cash prizes. Nail your picks and you're heating up. Pick 6 brings upside with payouts up to 500 times. Are you ready to make your finals run like Tyrese Halliburton? Then you need the new draft picks. By the way, new DraftKings Pick 6 customers can toss in just $5 on the first entry, $50 back in bonus picks instantly. Look, that ain't a bad deal if you're into the finals like I am.
Not a bad deal at all. By the way, who do you have winning the whole thing? Who do you think wins?
I'm cheering for SGA to be the breakout star that we all need. And but the Pacers are tough and they're hot and they got momentum here.
I gotta say, I feel like I've watched a little bit of both games. I know that the Pacers rescued themselves at the last second, Halliburton or whatever, but it looked to me like OKC is a better team.
They feel like it, yes.
But either way, you're going to get with the right team. That's DraftKings. Here's what you're going to do, folks. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app right now and use the code COMBAT. That's COMBAT with a K. New customers play $5, get $50 in bonus picks instantly. Ride the upside only on DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 8887-897777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. One per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 bonus picks that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. Terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
Well said. Let's go to topic number 4. In Norfolk, we have a problem. Keyshawn Davis, formerly the still unbeaten, but formerly the WBO lightweight champion, was expected to headline at his home arena, the Scope in Norfolk, against hard-hitting Edwin De Los Santos in the first defense of his new title. Then he had a 48-hour implode free fall of his own personal stock that it was one after another, and it kept escalating here. This is almost we haven't seen before. You know Davis. I'm big and high on the businessman, one of 3 fighting brothers in the Davis family that go by DB3. He looked like he was starting to knock on pound for pound, starting to really become, whether he's part of the 4, 5, 6 kings or not, or princes, a true breakout star. But in 2 days, he missed weight for the fight by 4.3 pounds and then was accused by everyone, including his own promoter, Top Rank's Bob Arum, of not even trying or showing any remorse to cut that weight. Here's a tweet from Dan Rayfield. It says, talk to Bob Arum about Keyshawn. He was not happy. The quote from Arum, you can tell if a guy is trying to make weight and just can't. You can see that he's dehydrated. That wasn't the case with Keyshawn. He never really tried to make 135. That's my view of what happened, end quote. So not only did Keyshawn not try to cut down on the weight, his gamble that Edwin De Los Santos would be okay with it and that they could figure out a deal and a transfer of a percentage of his purse never happened. Why? Because De Los Santos' promoter, Samson Lukowicz, saw Keyshawn's back at the weigh-in, saw that it wasn't sweaty at all, saw that he didn't try to cut the weight. And after a short negotiation that got contentious there, De Los Santos pulled out of the fight completely, Top Rank being forced to pay the purse. This was during a week that the mayor of Norfolk declared Keyshawn Davis week in Norfolk, and the original plan, according to my sources, was that he was going to be given a key to the city after the win. So we go to fight night. Remember, they flew in Michael Vick, Shaquille O'Neal, Terrence Crawford, all these stars to really...
I think Allen Iverson
to celebrate that area. And then
the 757,
the 7 towns or cities, or
that's my first cell phone.
Ninth Island,
because I was like William and Mary was a 757.
Well, Luke, it couldn't have got crazier until it did. So people may not remember 2 years ago, Keyshawn Davis fought Nahir Albright of Philadelphia, won a very close majority decision over him. Then Keyshawn popped for marijuana in the state of Texas. It got turned to a no contest. Nahir Albright hasn't fought since then. He's been fighting in Team Combat League. Yet Kelvin Davis, the older brother of Keyshawn, wanted the fight with Nahir. I was telling you that was going to be a tough matchup. Nahir Albright pulls the upset and does it in dominant fashion, landing huge power shots. Now, according to Albright, who had a locker room next to Keyshawn, he was celebrating. The Davis brothers overheard it, got annoyed. They ran in, attacked him, headbutted him. If we can show the dual picture here, Long Island Luke, of the before and after. On the left, you'll see Albright after the fight, which he won by, I think, split or majority decision, and it shouldn't have been. He dominated. And then you can see on the right him after that first incident where he has the big knot on his head. So, Luke, he was interviewed on the right there by Mark Kriegel in the outside of the locker room.
Mm-hmm.
Keyshawn and his brother Keon ran into the locker room, headbutted it, tried to fight him. The cut man and the coach pulled them away. They separated. Then he goes out in a live interview on TV and tells everybody what happened. Keyshawn and Keon come running back, and we have video of this. This was the second altercation in which Keyshawn's infant son, who was in a stroller, was nearly trampled. Both him and his brother Keon needed to be separated. Kelvin was reportedly ejected by local police from the arena after blowing weight on the main event. 20% of the fans got a refund, which is what happens when the main event gets changed.
Mm-hmm. Or canceled,
and may have legal issues for all we know from this. So Luke Thomas, It's funny because throughout this weekend, you kept texting me, this is such a stain. He'll never come back from this. And after each, escalation, I'm like, yeah, well, he'll be all right. Yeah, but no. Okay, now it is unforeseen levels. Right now, as we speak, for Davis and by proxy, the DB3, his 3 brothers, will they ever be able to fully recover from this?
I wish I could easily say yes. I cannot easily say yes. I mean, this is so bad that you almost have to treat Keyshawn Davis as the Manchurian Candidate. Have you seen this movie?
I know of the movie. I haven't seen it.
But it's a story, but the basic idea is that a guy is in control by another group and is sort of infiltrating, and then they use that guy to to wield the other group's interest against the home group, right? Sort of like a Trojan horse kind of thing. You almost have to treat him like a Manchurian Candidate, as if someone programmed him to make every possible decision to make things worse for himself. From missing weight, not just missing weight, BC, but being kind of unrepentant about it.
Yes.
Right? Didn't try to cut weight. And when they asked him, he was like, I knew I was going to go up to 40 anyway. And it was like, well, then.
So he tried to play the weight Billy trick where you give up the belt because you were going to move up anyway, but then you get the advantage.
So you lose your title on the scale. The thing goes, and then the negotiations go sideways with De Los Santos, who, by the way, by a Virginia edict, still gets paid anyway.
So you think Bob Arum's happy about that?
Top Rank is in the middle of trying to find a new television deal. American boxing is desperate for a new star, and you can't even act right on the day of the fight, which, again, the main event is canceled in your homecoming celebration.
And this wasn't one. This wasn't one fight that got out of control. It was 2 attacks.
To the point where they then have to escort you out of the building on fight night. The only thing missing from this utter calamity is he didn't pop positive on a drug test for any performance-enhancing drug, or spend the night in jail, or there was a more serious crime. But essentially, virtually everything he could have done to sully his name, to make people not interested, to piss off the promoter, to piss off your home fan base, which is, by the way, kind of essential to building a national and then ultimately international fan base. He did everything possible. And BC, it is now past noon on Monday, and he still has not really issued any kind of statement that even borders on contrition. We talked about this over the weekend. David Benavidez has made some mistakes earlier in his career. The first time we interviewed him on MK, he lost his title on the scales. But he kind of rallied himself, and now that's kind of in the mirror.
He lost his title twice, and he's come all the way back. Yeah.
But now no one even thinks about that because of how professional he's run.
Exactly.
So maybe Keyshawn can turn a corner. But Dave, I remember when we interviewed Benavidez that day, he seemed kind of contrite about it. Keyshawn seems like the world has done him a disservice by asking him to act according to the agreement that he made to be a professional. This is a total nuclear Chernobyl level disaster for a guy's stock.
People have asked me in the DMs and like the kind of question that I just asked you, like, well, can he come back from this? The answer is yes. Boxing is a short memory. It's forgiving as long as you handle your business in the ring, and then it helps it go faster if you show an instant repentance from this line of activity. If you come out and say, look, I was, believing in my hype too much. And it felt like it in all his interviews. His interviews, including the one with me on my YouTube channel, was great because he's so damn cocky. Don't put me in with Ryan and Haney and the 4 princes. I don't want to be any of that. I'm the one. I'm the GOAT. Like, it's refreshing. He's this badass that wants it. This could not have gone any worse for him. Like your point, as if he's almost trying to bring it upon himself. And I just can't figure out, what was he thinking? I mean, to escalate it in every single way. So Top Rank elevated the Cole main event, which happens to be a fighter in his own division, Abdullah Mason, who we love, the young prospect. What he improved to 16-0 with 14 KOs, just 21 years old. He got elevated to the main event. He handled his business against Jeremiah Nakatia, the veteran, and stopped him in the 5th round. But I don't know if you heard the Top Rank ESPN broadcast. They were giving it to Keyshawn, and rightfully so. And then elevating as, well, this is the future, the guy who might be fighting for the vacant title next, for all we know, in Abdullah Mason. I sent you that video at the Thursday press conference where Abdullah and Keyshawn were sitting next to each other, and Keyshawn took umbrage with Mason saying that, he's ready for a title shot. He's ready to fight the best. And they had a back and forth, and we were all like, oh my God, they could fight each other too. And Bob was like, well, maybe 2 to 3 years. Now it feels like they're just almost moved Keyshawn aside and was like, cost us. Let's push Abdullah Mason. But the fact that Albright got sucked into this, the fact that the Davis family were willing to take that fight when that was Keyshawn's hardest fight, arguably up to this point, and then the guy gets attacked twice. So was the second one for snitching on live TV? Because they didn't have locker room footage that they shared of the fight, just the stuff that happened in the hallway. Here's Nahir Albright afterwards, kind of trying to figure out what happened.
Locker room and celebrating my victory with my team, and Keyshawn and his little brother came in and they started looking at me. It's like they saying something about his older brother, like they was mad, and he like grabbed me, pushed me back. I'm like grabbing his hand. He like moved his head towards my head, got like a little.
So you bumped heads?
Yeah, he like headbutted me. Yeah, he like headbutted me.
Oh, okay.
So
Keyshawn did?
Yeah. Okay. So that's what happened.
Any words between you and them after the fight that might have led to this incident?
No, actually, like I said, I was in the locker room. Their locker room is right next door to mine. So I guess they heard like us like happy and all that kind of stuff, and they came in and started trouble.
Did anyone punch you or anything, or was it just a headbutt?
Yeah, just a grab and a headbutt.
Why do you think they would do this?
I mean, they upset that their brother lost, and poor sportsmanship.
Have you heard of something like this before? Have you ever seen or heard of something?
I never been through this. I never seen no one go through this. Yeah.
So how did the altercation end? Who ended it?
My coaches like grabbed him, and then I think security came in and grabbed him.
There's a video of Keyshawn like trying to charge again. Was there like a second time, or was there like?
That was my older brother.
That was your older brother?
Yeah, my older brother, because he was trying to talk to them like that was unprofessional and things like that. And it just got crazy.
What's your older brother's name?
On his team?
My older brother name is Terrence Brown.
Terrence Brown.
Yeah.
Was there anyone on his team that was trying to?
So Luke, Mason now getting the big push. He may end up fighting for that title soon. And here is Mason reacting to this when he was asked after the fight.
They jumped Albright. What are your thoughts on leaving the fighting to the ring?
I mean, that's not how I get down. I say that's you see where me and my brothers at. We in here in the locker room together. We enjoying our win, and like I said, we about business. He said he did what? What happened?
So Luke, he can turn it around, but you're gonna have to see instant repentance, a change. Give him back to the community for what he was unable to give this time around, and it's going to take time. I mean, we have short memories when people go back in the ring and handle themselves and remind us of how great they are. We love second chance stories even more than someone achieving the first time, but this felt like a villain heel turn here. You know what I mean? Like I'm not, and it's like, Keyshawn was acting a little crazy in the lead up to this. And he's had, admitted some very serious mental health troubles in the past and battles that he's been through. So I certainly hope everything is, together in his mind's where it needs to be, but it just didn't seem like it this time.
Here's how bad this is. It's like, now Ryan Garcia had a different set of troubles because he did pop positive for performance-enhancing drugs, and that, then he had the subsequent performance where he looked quite poor, and so there's bigger issues. But I just want to point out, on fight week when he fought Devin Haney, he was engaging in every manner of possible unprofessional behavior, but he did show up on fight night, and he did compete for 12 rounds, and, essentially got a victory there. And the fans were largely in support of him all the way through. In other words, you can be like an insanely odious person. You can miss weight, but you can't be so self-sabotaging that everything falls apart, including the fight and even your ability to be in the arena.
Right. You
still have to be a part of boxing for this to work. He couldn't even deliver on that. This is, I got to be honest, I don't know if I've seen self-sabotage I've seen incremental self-sabotage where it lasted, years or something.
Andrew Galata in big fights,
yes.
Just constant self-sabotage.
Okay, but it wasn't 48 hours. This was basically 48 hours of pure disaster.
I mean, he even make it to the ring and then it's tough, and he's such a talent.
Like, what would be the closest equivalent? I don't know what the answer is.
I don't know. The colors just changed. You hope this is a humbling, career-altering moment in a good way, not a negative way. We don't play the video, but Albright would go on to say that Terrence Crawford and Bomac, Brian McIntyre, who's the trainer of the three Davis brothers, came into the locker room to apologize afterwards, like it was that.
Did you see Bomac catching some strays?
Because he always has the family's Okay, he always says that. We'll go to that video here and let's check in.
Apologize to you or anything? Anyone from their camp or anything after all this happened? Did Kelvin apologize to you, or what did he say?
Bomac. Bomac and Terrence Crawford came in and was like, sorry for the inconvenience. Yeah.
What did that mean? How much did that mean?
It meant a lot. I got a picture of us.
Could you show us this by any chance?
Yeah. I hope it's on this phone. But yeah, I was like, I had to take in the moment. Being champion, and then Terrence Crawford comes to your room. What?
Shout out to Nahir. Now, honest question: should the next fight be Nahir Albright in a rematch with Keyshawn Davis? He came close the first time. He just beat his brother. He's got attacked twice. Like, is that the punishment for Keyshawn? And the reward for Albright?
I would not hate that idea. I hadn't thought about that, but I would not hate that idea.
And I know we're pushing late on time, but I have to bring this up. And I hate saying this because I love boxing and love this generation of young American stars. But when the Times Square fight happened May 2nd, and in one night, the stocks of Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney just went plummeting in a win and a loss while we're trying to hype a potential rematch against them. And then everyone's going, see, enough with this 4 princes, 5 kings. They ain't it. They're cursed. Let me just say this. Ryan Garcia, drug issues, a lot of issues, just had a very
wildly racist.
Just had a very bad loss, okay? Devin Haney in a comeback win from an awful performance in an awful circumstance had like the worst possible way to win where people are like, he's scared, his stock is down. Shakur Stevenson still has the talent, but like got booed in consecutive fights, including one in this home arena for being too passive. Who am I missing here? Tank is kind of going through that situation with Roach with the controversial draw and Tank talking about retirement a lot. And then do you throw in Keyshawn throwing it all away? Or are they cursed? Or is this just part of the life cycle here? I mean, like Floyd had some rough moments outside the ring on his rise up. It's not, that happens in boxing. Happens a lot
I don't
of
know.
pro
It just
sports.
feels like you can see the decline of American boxing through them. You can. You can see where
It
they're
doesn't
competing.
mean they're all not going to live up to their expectations, right? But at the same time, they're all kind of down at the moment, right? Like in some way.
You can understand what is wrong with American boxing by taking a look at their careers. Yes. Even as bright as they sometimes are. Teo sometimes has bright spots.
Teofimo being the other one.
Keyshawn also has bright spots.
Yeah.
And of course, Gervonta Davis has been, arguably the face of American boxing for a time. But
all right, let's go to topic number 5. We said we weren't going to talk about this again, but now we finally have Dana White talking about this. But does he know what he's talking about? It's interesting. Dana White, who skipped the UFC 315 post-fight press conference in Montreal and then skipped both the weigh-in and pre-fight press conference at UFC 316, did arrive on Saturday after peddling his new form Anheuser-Busch energy drink during the week and did take questions after being Trump's caddy at UFC 316. One of the big topics surrounded will Jones Aspinall ever happen? And now the escalation of the past week, which has seen Jon Jones tweet about 5,000 times about he doesn't care if he's stripped, he doesn't want the fight, he doesn't think Aspinall deserves it, blah to the blah. Also, you have Francis Ngannou through trainer Eric Nixick saying he's interested in coming back. Can we show the quote tweet from Francis and Don Davis of how this escalated even further? First, you had Francis saying to Jon Jones, you take care of the UFC, I'll take care of the PFL, and we'll finally find out who's the king of heavyweight. And then Don Davis, who was feeling himself, he had a good week with PFL. We got $25 tickets. We got
the app, which I downloaded and took a look at. It's pretty good.
So Don was on fire. He's like, hey, proposal, Jones versus Aspinall, winner take all, best MMA heavyweight of all time. Don even pitched that if Francis wins PFL and Francis split 100% of the profits, the same for Jon in the UFC on the flip side. But Dana, who either is playing the game that he always does with the media or is legitimately checked out, doesn't follow the news cycle and has no idea, had no idea this stuff with Jon was even going on. Let's hear from Dana.
It's a conversation we've had many times now, the Dom Aspinall, Jon Jones fight. It's a bit different now, right? Because Jon's been tweeting a lot about the fact that he's told you his plans, he's ready to vacate the belt, and all the rest of it.
He said he's ready to vacate the belt?
He said he doesn't care if you strip him, he would vacate it.
Fucking crazy. Yeah, I've been busy. I haven't been keeping up with the gossip. He comes back. He's either back today or came back yesterday or whenever he's in Thailand. So he's home. We'll be home tonight. And Tuesday, we'll figure this out.
If he doesn't fight, because he also called out Francis Ngannou. He said he'd rather fight Francis, which I assume.
Who did?
John.
Yeah.
Okay. Not that interested in that then. But if he doesn't fight Tom Aspinall and he does walk away, do you think he's ducked him? Would you?
Tom Aspinall's the guy. He's the guy.
Sounds like
I don't
Bob
know. Yeah,
Arum.
well, listen, if the guy wants to retire and doesn't want to fight, nothing you do. I didn't want Habib to retire. I thought DC should have stayed in it longer. So it's none of my business. I'll do what I can to make the fight if we can.
It's like Biden, dude.
You know, if he's talking that crazy
It
shit.
sounds like Biden.
I didn't realize that.
When he's running for
and last one on this. I remember the time when GSP announced he was
No,
walking
he doesn't
away
sound as
after
bad
the
as that,
Johnny
no.
Hendricks fight. And you said he owes it to the belt and the company to at least defend it against the guy that rightfully should fight for it. Do you think that's kind of the same here with John?
All right, Oscar, what's up with the
Yeah.
filibuster?
Yeah, but John's been John since he walked in the door here.
So I give credit to the reporters. They didn't ask all the questions I wanted. Long Island Luke, were you in that group of people?
No, I left before Dana.
Okay. Dana came out very late, but like they asked good questions and they even pushed back. And before I get your take on this, the big news reveal came from Dana. It was that that John officially agreed to the fight at some point. Didn't sign the contract, but officially agreed to, I'm guessing, to what, the number and the fact that he'll do it. I'm guessing. And then even Mike Bowen asked him a second time to explain it. But I think this is Dana revealing that. Let's listen to it one more time.
In your heart, do you believe that this is just the process, or is it ultimately you'll get him to fight in your mind?
It's definitely the process with Jon Jones. Been going through this since the day he started here, and it's definitely the process.
Do you believe
him
it
and
ultimately
Anderson
will happen
Silva,
though?
him and Anderson Silva, every time throughout the history of being in business with those guys, when it comes time to get them fight, it's like dealing with artists. It's interesting.
What's your gut? Like in your gut right now, does it tell you that fight will end up happening?
What's that?
Like in your gut, do you think that fight will ultimately end up happening?
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying it since the beginning, and Jon Jones agreed to do the fight. So Jon Jones was offered the deal and accepted the deal.
Okay, so that's big, but I think an even important...
Do you believe that?
Well, I want to sub in an even more important question before I even ask you if you believe that. Is this evidence, and I thought Zach Arnold had a really nice piece this morning in the MMA Draw where he just basically said, this was Dana on full display showing you that he's the brand ambassador and the influencer and nothing more. He's not part of the decision-making. He seemed to have no clue. He wasn't there all week. He sort of just flies in, walks Trump in, and that's his role. Am I going too ham on that? And it's not like it's a new conversation, but like, did you get any feeling like, now what he did say about working with Turkey for Canelo Crawford seemed to be confirmed by a Turkey tweet that came after overnight. Right. But on this topic, is Dana still Dana, or is he just the rich guy that they have to keep busy so he can be the face of the promotion?
I think I would be speaking out of turn if I made a big proclamation about how he is viewed within TKO and what role he actually has. But I don't know how you can watch this. And again, he wasn't at the weigh-ins. He was not at the press conference. And because he was promoting his own drink, or I'm sure he's very, very, I mean, this is the issue, right? He's clearly busy to the point where it's like, it is very obvious that the UFC does not occupy the same space in his orbit as it once did.
So are we wasting our time here is what I'm saying?
I don't know if it ever will again.
Like, I'll give him that Hunter's probably the one negotiating the dollar value from instructions from Ari and Shapiro.
Yes.
But, like, is Dana actually the one that calls John, calls Aspinall? Like, or is he just out of that? Is that not him? Is he just
I think he does some of that, but I think Hunter does most of that too. I mean, it's kind of funny. I hit up guys who still go to shows, and I kind of asked them, like, what the vibe is and stuff like that. And I asked them, what's the deal with Dana not being at the presser and Dana not being at the weigh-ins? And like, oh, well, he's expected to arrive tomorrow. And I'm like, well, what are you going to ask? And they've told me, like, I've heard of several different guys. It's like, even when he shows up, sometimes he doesn't even say anything.
He does, dude, like...
And this is a guy who used to scrum it up after every pay-per-view and then literally spar with the media, right? Taking rapid-fire questions.
So at 3:15, where he skipped out on the post-fight press conference and then reportedly got right on the private jet and left, don't forget that press conference before the fight, which he also hosted, was the quickest one I've ever seen. They went from... Actually, this one with Anik was quick, too.
It was
but
like
they
15 minutes.
It was like same thing, like 15, 16 minutes. Let's face them off. I don't know, dude.
The question you have to ask yourself, and this is only TKO can answer this, which is, do you still see not Dana White as an important representative of the brand, because clearly that is still a thing, but rather, do you still see him as the media and then world outreach bulldog for the brand?
No.
And I think that they've moved on from that role.
Then they should just have, I'm honest, they should have Hunter Campbell come out for the post-fight now, because that it seems to be the only time you get a back and forth to ask the real questions. And again, I thought the media did a good job asking those real questions. They asked about the media deal. Dana, understandably, was like, can't give you an update. We'll let you know.
Said he might know as soon as next month.
Right. And I understand that is a fluid situation.
That's tough, yeah.
But I don't know if this means anything to Jones Aspinall. I mean, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing that there's no answers on this. It's embarrassing to Aspinall. And we talk about it every week. It's fucking embarrassing. I mean, if they are holding this for the new TV deal, then I'll never forgive them.
Are they really going to hold this to 2026?
I don't know, but it's just embarrassing and unforgivable for Dana to make it seem like I believed him, unless he's acting like he has no fuck. Oh, John said what? Just not even remotely dialed in. They did ask him though, would he ever relent on Ngannou?
What would happen if he came to you and says, like, I'll fight, but I won't fight Aspinall, I would fight Ngannou? Would you even be interested in that or no?
I don't have Ngannou under contract, and Aspinall's the guy.
Right. If you were put in the position, would you maybe try to get Ngannou back under contract or no?
Probably not.
Yeah. Understood. I'm just curious.
Hold grudges and hold up business.
Who does that? I mean,
they don't serve the fans anymore.
Here's a basic question. How does boycotting working with Ngannou help UFC fans?
Dude,
there's literally not an argument for it.
Vince McMahon
You've always told me I don't watch pro wrestling, but you told me Vince McMahon would sign people he had terrible beefs with.
Terrible, because he wins. By them making him money, he wins. That's why.
Let me ask you, who did he sign that I might recognize who he had a horrendous beef with?
There's a list, okay? Bret Hart, Bruno Sammartino. Like he inevitably reunites with everybody. Hulk Hogan, like anybody.
Did he have beef with CM Punk?
CM Punk, like everybody ends up coming back, and it's you could frame it at his love for his own business and serving the fans, but even if it's just under him just being a ruthless business gangster, he wants you to he'll let you win the WrestleMania match, but he wants you to have to come back in and he's going to make money off of you. Either way, the fans win, the company wins. These stupid things like 2025 and forward on, UFC can't have this anymore. Can't have these stupid.
I would just love to hear what the argument is that keeping Francis out is better for UFC fans. I don't understand what that could possibly be.
It's unbelievable. All right, and then real quick, here is Dana on Canelo Crawford, which I want to get your response to what you think happened here.
And then just last one for me, more unrelated to this fight, but Turkey made it seem like you weren't going to be promoting the Terrence Crawford-Canelo fight. Is there anything you can kind of clear up on that?
He made it feel like I wasn't?
Yeah, well, he said that someone else was promoting it. He didn't say no TKO. He just didn't include your name in a tweet, and people kind of freaked out online about like, where'd Dana go?
I'm going to tell you what's awesome, man. So there's a lot of fucked up things about boxing, but they don't say shit. I mean, nobody talks. It's the most amazing thing. If we sign a deal, I gotta fucking get on my phone quick and go, hey, we just fucking, because 90,000 people will be out there talking about it. These guys don't talk. I'm promoting the fight.
Is that fight happening in Vegas still? Because
I'll let you guys know when it's time to let you know.
So did Turkey not flip out on Netflix? I don't understand it, but
no, I mean I've heard from a few different people that there was clearly an issue there. But
or is Turkey the wild card and Dana's actually like the
that's what
hand
that's
here.
what I think. I think actually Dana is the dude. Say what you like Dana or not like Dana, he does get deals done and has been getting deals done for literally decades.
We like the old Dana a lot, okay?
I mean, again, when he wants to, he can be quite effective. I think Turkey's the wild card here. Turkey's the one that just wants things, and also I think I said it before. Canelo took a backseat to Jorge Masvidal versus Nate Diaz when he fought Kovalev on DAZN.
He'll never do that again.
He'll never do that again.
He ain't ever fighting in Saudi
never going to play
either.
second fiddle to UFC on Mexican Independence Day. It's
and
not
he
going
ain't
to happen.
never going to fight Benavidez. All right, hey, this podcast is sponsored by Total Wireless, people, the official wireless partner of UFC. When you're streaming the fight or sharing those takedown highlights, you need a wireless provider that keeps you close to the action. With Total Wireless, you're covered by the Verizon 5G network, so you don't have to worry about your connection being knocked out at the biggest moments. It's not something you can usually say about a wireless provider, but at Total Wireless, they really have your back. That's just the truth. They're in your corner every second of the day to make sure you never miss a thing. That'll keep you covered. For just $25 a month with 4 lines without sacrificing the essentials, like speed. With Total, you get unlimited 5G data so you can stay ahead of the action and keep up with every KO. Ain't that right, Luke Franklin Thomas?
Total Wireless also understands you can't afford surprise blows any more than your favorite fighter can. That's why the price is guaranteed for 5 years, taxes and fees included. The best fighters don't make it to the octagon alone. They have all in support along the way, and it shouldn't be any different for you. So visit TotalWireless.com or visit your local Total Wireless store to learn more about how Total Wireless can be in your corner. 5G access requires a 5G capable device in a 5G service area. Monthly rate on the Total Base 5G unlimited plan for new subscribers applies only to the monthly rate for your plan. Additional terms apply. See website for details.
Thank you very much. Every Sunday night, we put out the call to you, the fan, to let your voice be heard. Ask us questions, but you better bring it. And it's at Morning Kombat on Instagram and X on every Sunday night. This one's called DMs from the Donks.
Hey, they brought it back. That's you know what? It's the second one. It's the that post-nut clarity one. Like
I can't believe we fought for that to go away and then fought for it to come back.
We didn't fight for it to come back. The fans fought us.
That's true.
To have it bring it back. So
let's hear from the fans. First question, what do you got for us? From Connor_Maley, would anyone really care if Amanda Nunes and Kayla Harrison just fought at 145 instead of 35? Let's just see the fight. Pay-per-view main event with Valentina versus Wei Li in a co-main super fight and have 4 of the legitimate 10 best females of all time go at it. I don't think they'll ever do a gimmick like an all-female card, but that's a pretty badass main co-main if they ever wanted to.
Yeah, we kind of discussed this earlier. They could do it at 45, and I don't mind that idea as well. Again, they did in 2015. They did an all-heavyweight card.
Yes.
They could do one, but I just don't think that they would.
All right, interesting. I think you should do this at a different weight class. We established that. Let's go to the second question here from at Elvis Flexley. If Mario Bautista, this is a good question. If he never taken the Jose Aldo fight and got booed, would he be receiving significantly more fanfare right now?
He'd be receiving a lot less hate, but he would not. I mean, that elevated his profile, but he would need another name to elevate his profile, so no.
No, I agree with that. Next in line is a fellow by the name of at tactical_athlete_motivation. Are you as pumped as I am for the pit style mat for UFC BJJ?
Ding, 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 ding. It's not the same.
With a lot of local gyms starting to implement the wall for grappling as well as CGI does. That's Craig Jones Invitational. CGI? What did I say?
It said CGI, like computer graphics.
Sorry about that. Luke, do you think this will be the new standard for no-gi grappling? So UFC announced this new promotion?
UFC BJJ, yes.
With Claudia Godella as what, the face of it? Or?
No, sort of. She's been the matchmaker and essentially the person running it. And that's been true for a while. It used to be called Fight Pass Invitational.
Can you put that back up, please?
And now it's called UFC BJJ.
So the question is, are you as pumped as this person is, Luke?
Well, I mean, any other promoter getting into the pro grappling space, I think, is fine. I'm a little bit concerned about one promoter trying to be the dominant brand in WWE, in pro wrestling, in MMA, in boxing, and now also sport jiu-jitsu.
And in slap fighting.
Which is very regal. I'm a little bit concerned about that, but on its face, do they have a right to enter the space like anybody else does? Sure. Could they be unique contributors? Sure. But again, the exclusive contracts, it's not show and win, it's show and sub. And they didn't take people are like, oh, well, Craig Jones just took it from Karate Combat. No, he licensed it from Karate Combat for the pit. And then more to the point, they didn't do that. They just made it like the Yama pit fighting thing, where it's like a bowl. So there was Craig Jones put out the famous Vanilla Ice thing when they asked him, did you sample the David Bowie and Freddie Mercury song? And he was like, he did the whole ding, 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 ding. It's like, it's a little bit different. Like this sort of nonsensical response to the whole thing. I don't know. Remember, the UFC has the octagon-shaped trademarked for MMA. It seems like a little bit of, I don't know what the legal implication is, but it's clearly a derivative idea from CJI.
So what was Mikey Musumeci promoting? He's one
of the coaches. Fighter? Yeah, he's one of the coaches on their version of the Ultimate Fighter. Yeah,
and it's going to air where? On
YouTube.
I mean, I'm not into grappling, although I think Craig Jones has a chance to make
they got
people
some good
like
names
me
on there.
Care. What's the pay difference between what UFC's offering and what Craig Jones does? Is it?
I'm not sure what Craig. I'm not sure. I'm not sure because I don't know how if you lose early in CJI, do you get paid anything? I don't know because remember it's like a bit of a winner take all
I hope
tourney.
you get gimmicks like we had that time of High Rollers, just like, oh, you lost, but here, just get high on
just
us,
billowing weed smoke into your face. We got to get moving, bro.
Well, I mean, yeah, okay. What else you got, Jen? This is from Flannels and Jits. We always hear from this guy. With Mark Kerr, the Smashing Machine, being inducted to the UFC Hall of Fame and a feature film about his life on the way. Interesting timing there, TKO. How would you define his legacy in combat sports? Do you have a favorite moment or performance from his career that stands out to you? Luke, there's been, I don't want to say controversy because Mark Kerr, a two-time UFC heavyweight tournament champion, and, you know, star of the Smashing Machine, great doc and all that, and had a great run through Pride. For in a short season, at his most roided, he was very successful in an earlier era. But he fought in UFC on 2 nights of his career.
Yeah, we fought in Pride too.
Did go in 4-0, but like, is this a shameless TKO? Let's put him in the Hall of Fame to help promote the movie because Dwayne Johnson's
He was definitely
doing
an early
no?
pioneer, and he was definitely an early force in MMA. It's hard to give a legacy because
He was a fun character. I liked him. Like he was like grit and. You know.
Yeah, I mean, he competed at a time where just having a name and being kind of a known figure in the sport was a relevant thing. But, you know, it's hard. Like, oh, well, who's the best heavyweight? Well, he's not even in conversation of something like that. You're asking for a favorite moment. This is true. I one time was watching, I used to buy Pride DVDs back in the day, and he fought a guy. I don't have his record up in front of me. I believe his name is Mikhail, like, Ilouin. He was like a early Russian, you know, pioneer in MMA. Not very good. If you watch real slowly, Mark Kerr hits him with a can opener. That's where you put your hands from guard and you put their chin to their chest, and it's supposed to open the guard. And what you'll notice is he does it really hard. He gets the tap from this, and the camera pans away, and then it comes back. If you slow it down, you can clearly see something sticking out the back of the neck of the opponent from this can opener, protruding through the back of the neck. He gets the tap right after, and you can see him holding his neck. So, like, I've never seen a can opener more brutal in my life than that one.
He was insanely strong and aggressive.
What the fuck was the name of that guy?
And it's weird. I saw just as many people being like, well, good that they're finally course correcting and getting him in, as I've seen people be like, he's only in because of the movie, Luke. It does feel, I mean, you're honoring, what's the category they put it in? Pioneer?
Pioneer wing,
Not that any of that really matters, but like, yeah, he is a pioneer in that regard. But it is interesting timing, Luke. Okay.
Listen. Oh, Igor Borisov, I believe. Yes. Okay. Sorry, I had the name wrong. Igor Borisov, can opener. This was at Pride 10, Return of the Warriors.
Do you ever see
one of the nastiest can openers I've ever seen?
You ever see his loss to King Mo? He was real after.
I was watching. I tweeted that one live. I remember it. And King Mo actually kind of made fun of him when they were putting the microphone in his face.
Yeah.
Shouts to King Mo was great. He was like, they were like, walk us through the highlights. He's like, well, this is me stealing on him. This is me stealing on him
Can we
again.
get King Mo on the show?
On what show?
This show.
We should get King Mo on the show. He likes us. We like King Mo.
Great mind, yeah. I used to do a pod with him. Loved it. By the way, I know you've been checking me out, Luke, in this brand new shirt. I know it. Oh, sorry, we got one more.
We gotta move through.
We're not gonna be late. We're gonna be fine.
All right.
Lowercase 3, out of the rest of the Bantamweight division top 10, how many is O'Malley clearly better than? And if he were to move up to feather, how many top 10 guys do you think he's comfortably better than now?
I mean, I think he's probably better than at least half the top 10 at 135.
But it's a killer division. It may be matchup dependent. Will he recapture the confidence, momentum, magic he had at that peak of his career going from Jan to Sterling? I don't know. But is he still better than the back end of the top 10?
Yes.
And can win in both divisions potentially? Yes.
Yes.
I think he'll be fine at featherweight.
I think he'd be fine at featherweight too.
Yeah.
I do think he has to bulk up though, like really bulk up if he goes to 45.
Okay.
Really add some muscle.
All right.
But he can do it.
All right, back to you admiring me in this in this fit, Luke. Get ready, MK fans, to rep the fight game like never before. Introducing UFC Collection, presented by DraftKings. This is exclusive gear you won't find anywhere else. Fueled by pure UFC adrenaline and the DraftKings lifestyle. We've got hoodies, long sleeves, men's and women's tees, and a knockout hat to top it off. Right now, you're catching me in the long sleeve black t-shirt. Fantastic fit. Personally, I'm loving the way it looks just as much as I love the way it feels. It's a must-have, and whether you're cage side or couch side, the collection brings the heat. Check it out right now at the DraftKings shop. That's shop DraftKings. DraftKings.com.
Shouts to DraftKings.
Yeah,
Proud
love
is
it. Love
yours,
it. Great fit, by the way. Love the way it makes me feel. All right, I scoured the globe on Sunday, highs and lows, good and bad. Let's see if Luke can either laugh or get really turned off by my humor. This one's called BC's Feces. Hooah, indeed. We drink to that. Yeah, let's go. UFC 316 in Newark, baby. Luke, is there anything better than Merab and Kayla celebrating Bantamweight title wins together?
Wow, congratulations, champ.
This is Bushido, Luke. I get down on this.
I was going to say, not shooting blood is typically better.
Yeah.
One, two, three, champ.
Yeah. Shout out to Georgia, too. Georgian MMA on fire, right?
They produce hammers, do they not?
She loves the gloves. Must be loving this right now. Shout out to Duty.
She is great, and Georgia, they produce real winners.
Well, Luke, speaking of Kayla, who you got against her and Mandy in this upcoming super fight, Luke?
Okay, this is, this
internet,
is not the nicest thing
The
I've ever
internet
seen.
provided that. I'm sorry. Okay, back to Merab. Mike Bone put this video out on the bus back to the hotel in Newark. They stopped it on the corner. There were Georgian fans celebrating, and Merab came out to give love. Again, great guy.
Dangerous to spend this much time outside Newark without a bulletproof vest or a bulletproof car.
Did he just catch the hive right? No. Shout out to these great fans, Luke, who came out to support him. Also, which outfit would you least rather wear? The one Merab has or the one Mike Tyson has?
Mike Tyson. I'd rather have Merab's. Merab's has got like real cultural value.
So you would do the show in the left over the right outfit?
I would.
If forced.
Yeah.
Hey, where's my t-shirt that I'm supposed to wear, by the way, for losing that Jeopardy
So it's
game?
a funny thing you mentioned that. I bought them in one order. One is arriving today, and I don't even know when the other one is arriving, but don't you worry.
Okay.
You're going to get a choice. Motherfucker, you're going to get a choice.
Can I leave after this third song or what? Oh, wait, we got to pay off our debts here. Okay, finally from 316, here's that Viking guy, Andreas Gustafsson.
I saw on social media before this fight, you said you were going to go quote unquote full retard. Do you feel like you were successful in your debut?
Very wonderful sport.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah. I'm always going to bring full retard.
Okay, there we go. Very
All
progressive
right,
stuff from the UFC.
This is such an enlightened sport.
Let's go to this pick. The fans were loving Abe Braun here in the pregame preview set. Doesn't he look like Building 7 compared to us?
Which tower are you?
The second one, obviously. Look, okay, I had much more staying power. You folded very quickly.
I did fold quickly, yes.
All right, before we get canceled, it's time to get in that ass, Luke. Here's the quote of the week. Here's Jay Williams.
Lou Dort is going to be in his ass. He's going to be in him. He's going to be...
No titty on that one. Speaking of in that ass.
All the baby oil.
Check out this British halal cook on his smoke break. Watch the hand placement here. That's his left hand.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, get up in that.
Okay.
Get up in that, you absolute
But maybe he'll wash hands after the cig, right? Before he serves again. But what if you're like, yo, bro, what up? Give me some pounds.
Yeah, very halal.
In fact, here comes another person. Okay, that's the same hand, Luke.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Oh, gosh. One more time in that ass. But this is car cone related. Okay, that's a bullseye, Luke. That is a bullseye right in the ring.
Say that again?
Right
Let me
in
see
the
that
ring.
again?
Yes.
Show it again?
Watch the bottom cone.
I was watching the car crash.
Oh, that's just awesome. All right, let's go to the Major League Baseball field. Luke, you ever sneak a sip off your dad's beer when you were little?
Yeah, I tried, of course.
Watch this kid. He thinks no one's watching, but all of America's watching.
Oh, hell yeah.
Little sip of that Natty Light.
Hell yeah.
Something that'll cost you $23. And then he goes back to it again a second time. Yeah.
Yeah, that kid is class president as far as I'm concerned.
All right. Luke, nobody loves Mexican culture more than me. Let's watch this beautiful music celebration. All right. Well, you could have just told him you didn't like the music.
You know, I don't know if we need to watch mass death on this show.
Luke, you know I love when combat sports stars are in the wild. Here's Habib. Not only did he blow off Kate Scott's handshake for cultural reasons, look at him. Look at his work with the touch, with the ball.
You know what? I got to say, got a little smoothness to him.
Yeah. Shout out to Habib right there. Luke, here's Chihuihui's catching up with Pollyann Vienna.
Excuse, what exercise do you recommend for biceps?
One moment, I got you. Okay, so first you flex your elbow, then you go like this.
Right back to the kitchen, Luke. There we go. That's progressive MMA for you, but shout out to Chewy. Wow.
There's an audience for I mean, people get mad. People get mad when you say that the reputation that MMA has now is it's a sport for dumb men. But it seems
toxic masculinity on fire.
It seems like that reputation is very well deserved.
Mike Vick was in Norfolk, as we mentioned. Watch this pattern he throws to Bud Crawford here. Split wide.
Hey, man. Where your eyes at? Find one thing, look at me.
I think Mike Vick can throw the ball 100 yards.
Dude, Mike Vick had the most insane arm I've ever seen.
Ooh, that might be pass interference. He still got it.
Yeah, I was going to say, defensive pass interference there.
Look, we got another fighter in the wild. Here is Armando Resendiz. You know I love these homecomings. Back in the airport in Mexico after defeating Caleb Plant. One time if they could do this for us. Oh, they did it in London like this for
They did,
us.
yeah. We had a moment in time.
Not the airport, but we got the wall.
No, it told us to get the fuck out of the airport.
How about El Toro, dude, right? He's kind of like...
You know what? He earned it.
He did.
He can't say he didn't earn it. He earned it.
He did. One more fighter in the wild. This is Joe Pfeiffer, Luke, who's very sensitive.
Joe, one of the biggest comebacks in the sports is your hairline. Do a lot of fighters ask you about it because it turned out really well?
I don't know if that's an insult or not.
No, that was a compliment.
Here we go.
I'm going to remember your motherfucking face now.
All right. I mean, this is one of the perfect times to be like, lighten up, Francis.
Motherfucker, this is Sacktown.
I thought this was Sacramento, California. I didn't know this was a bitch fucking state. Motherfucker, this is Sacktown.
Oh, take that, Glenn Danzig, right? Yeah.
Is that Gigi Allen eating his feces? Who is that?
Luke, she's back. The weird cat lady. Only this time she's up in the gutter with Saul from Louisville.
Listen, I don't use the word whore lightly.
I mean, everything is cake, Luke. Everything.
I had someone ask me in my chat, it's like, why don't you like this lady? I'm like, look at this freak.
Look at the faces she makes.
Oh,
Luke.
yeah, just eat the knife. Eat the knife. I mean, dude, this is what your bad dreams look like.
Oh, she would stab you and then eat you slice by slice.
Yeah,
There's
I mean,
no
this is like, who wants a fever dream in real life? I mean,
that kind of turns me on, Luke, to be fair. But hey, here's your flag of the week.
Certified torta pounder.
Yeah, no shame on that guy. All right, I'm down with that. Hey, how about a little elder abuse? All right, you got to watch these revolving doors sometimes. Like they're wild. All right, they can throw your they can. Okay, lady, look both ways, please.
Yeah, just walk out there. Yeah,
Oh
both yeah.
boy, okay, that's that was too
That's the
easy.
kind of lady that asked me to help her with her bag, and then the
Yes.
bag will be 10,000 pounds, and it's like, what was your plan to get this from point A to point B, other than by asking me to Sherpa your shit for you? I don't know how you do that.
Luke, you know amateur MMA stud Christian DeGiro, my hero,
Yeah.
MK superfan, the
Dig
coolest guy in
hero,
the world.
yes.
Dude, he had a Muay Thai fight over the weekend. He's with the blue gloves on the right.
Wait,
okay, put it on him, yeah!
Oh,
shit, DeGiro, by stoppage.
Yeah!
Dude, this guy's the best. That's
Savaged
the guy.
him.
He has twice put Morning Kombat right on the dick, right? When he won those
That's the
MMA
only place
fights.
it belongs.
Yeah, love me some Christian DeGiro of California fame. There's his coaches by his
By the way,
side.
the guy on the left, I believe, is my old training partner, Suni.
Are you serious?
Yes, I trained with Suni for many, many years. Shouts to Suni for that. I don't have my glasses, so I could be just being racist. I can't quite tell. But I
right.
believe that's, dude, I know the guy on the left. I know him super, super, super well.
All right. Shout out to Christian DeGiro. We got to get him on this show and talk real MMA with that fella.
That's amazing. If Christian DeGiro trains with my old training partner, that's like, that makes us
Kevin Bacon, 6
7 degrees. Yeah, like
there
we're
you go.
guys now.
Look, you ever hear about Rata?
Rata.
Ata?
Ata.
Ta?
Ta.
Ah? Okay. Where's the drive-by shooter when you need one?
Luke, check out the most chill man on earth, even through a car accident.
Yo.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's like, that happens weekly. Dude, they spun that motherfucker 360 like a top. That was great.
Luke, do you know this new hack everybody's doing on the airplane to get extra snacks?
No.
Excuse me, can I have one extra snack?
My apologies. It's one per person.
She doesn't know I know this hack. I have a bomb!
All right.
Feels like you got to threaten him to get extra things these days. You know?
Luke, were you a big fan of Korn in the 90s?
Like the band?
Yeah.
I like them okay.
I gotta laugh the corn.
You're gonna watch your hands.
You gotta wash your hands. That was so good.
Okay, that one got me. That was a good one. That was a good one. That was a good one.
All right. Luke, check out this weird guy, Luke, with the double Mentos. Is that art, Luke?
For a certain kind of audience.
Are we art? Skate or die, more like skater glory. Luke, check this out. This is the worst show ever. Dude, that would have won gold at the X Games back in the old days. Yeah. You know this fella, Mr. Methane, that we play on this show sometimes? Big Star Wars guy.
Maybe?
Here we go.
Mr. Methane?
Oh, yeah. That's his review of the Phantom Menace right there, by the way.
How long should I let this go?
I think I've had enough. I think some of y'all need friends.
That's the shit of the week, Luke. I hope you
Some
saw
of
it.
y'all need friends.
I mean, come on, that's like a B+ this week.
That's a B. That's a B. The corn one got me.
Okay. Okay, that's
that was really good.
That's all the time we got. We have trains to catch. Not named Osborne, though. Tip your vendors on the way out. Take care of yourselves. Follow, like us.
Merch.
Morningcombat.shop. We're back. And a reminder, this gets split 3 ways. We get the money. Long Island, Luke, LT, and BC. So it's going directly.
And we only have just a handful of posters left that are signed. This
Limited
is your chance.
edition.
They're going to go away. We're not going to do it we'll do it again at some point, but not anytime soon. If you want it, now's the time.
Thank you so much for supporting us. It's the best way to support us. You get to wear it. We get to keep it, apparently. So thank you very much. Follow the show, like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. We will be back this Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern. What do we have this weekend? Buckley
Atlanta,
versus...
yeah.
Is there boxing this weekend? I think it's kind of slow. Am I forgetting something?
Boxing.
Oh, isn't Richardson Hitchens against George Kambosos? For the,
That's this weekend?
Yeah.
Is it in Australia?
I think PFL's back, too. We got Thad
PFL
Jean,
is back.
Jason
Dude,
Jackson.
by the way, that fight, Jason Jackson,
It's gonna be a
Thad
good fight.
Jean, sick fight.
Okay.
Sick fight.
No, the Hitchens fight is at the MSG Theater, the site of Kambosos versus Teo, and Kambosos told me if he wins the title from Hitchens, he's going to try to rematch Teo and unify the belts.
All right, very good.
All right, that's all we got. I'm BC, that's LT. Shout out to Ken and Nadir in the back. Yeah, my guy Ken's the best, right?
Dude, Nadir
Yeah.
was back there laughing his ass off at the farting Star Wars.
He's a good
heinous
guy.
guy.
He gets it. We're Morning Combat. We're so happy to have you. Take care. We out.